You should have seen what in theaters.
Wicked.
Oh, is that what we're talking about today?
We're talking about Wicked. Wait, are we talking about the Broadway version or the
I flew all the way out to New York to see it just for this
Hey,
show.
I went to the AVN Awards to see this movie, and it was all right. Hey,
I just don't know what version of Wicked are we talking about? Are we talking about the Broadway play or are we talking about the
I thought we were talking about the porn version, that one, right?
one where she has her
You like that, old man? You want a piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
I am.
What up, film fans? Happy Monday, moviegoers. Welcome to episode 335. Welcome to Wicked. You're listening to a brand new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Juan, and I am joined by the cast, the crew. Zach.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Jay.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. We'll be with some special guests a little bit later on in the show. But guys, welcome to another new episode, brand new episode. How you guys doing? You have a good week?
I did, yep. Yeah.
I was sick.
Man,
I think everybody's gotten the sickness lately.
you and me both. If you guys are hearing us out there, watching us, we don't look up to par or sound like we're up to par. This thing called the flu is going around, and I gotta say, I feel worse with the flu than I did with COVID the past few years.
If you can't, I know if you're not watching, if you're listening to us, you can't see the IV that Johnny's connected to right off camera. So
That's
big
what
gulp.
this is.
So
It's a liquid IV big gulp.
there you go.
We got IVs running through our veins in this episode, so that way we can bring it to you live Monday night. We got to discuss Wicked. We had to be here. Had to.
Yeah. It's one of the biggest episodes of the year. I think not only because of the subject matter, but because of the top 5 today. We're talking our top 5 worst movies of 2024. Zach, explain so we don't confuse the listeners and we don't confuse. Jay's on point, but explain why we technically rank 6 through 2 the week before the award show.
Well, the main reason why we do that is we want to give other horrible films that we saw over the year a little bit of notice, and we're going to complain about them, obviously, but we want to save the Covenant Ultimate Dog Crap Award for next week. And I'm excited. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited about next week. And just to go ahead and preface or preview it, next week is one of our favorite episodes we do. It's one of our big episodes. We're doing our year in review of 2024. We got a lot of awards to hand out. We got a lot of movies to talk about. So it's going to be a jam-packed episode of the show. So do not miss it.
That is next week. You don't want to miss it.
Ever.
And to give you guys a preview of our last few award show, we'll play it again next week, but we have a long, fun history of our top 5 plus 5 movies from the past 6 years. So that's next week, 2024, the award show, the prestigious White Dog Poop Award. It's going to be interesting to see what movie we all pick that for. And if you guys could imagine the award that I want that movie, the award that I imagine it looking like is, I don't know if it was Will Ferrell or John C. Reilly and Step Brothers getting forced to lick the white dog poop. But that's what I imagine.
No trusty white dog poop.
Yeah.
The very rare dog poop, because that's very rare to find in the wild.
In the wild.
It is.
So we're just gonna make it our shittiest movie of the year award. Whoever wins has to come and accept the award and open their hands and take the shit, put it in their hand. Like we had to take the shit that you fed us and put it in our hand, and we had to watch it. Plus, we want our money back. That's also a prerequisite for the winning of the award as well. You have to give everybody their money back.
Correct.
I'll just say that my horrible movie of the year, I saw it for free, and I still want my money back.
Hey, I see my horrible movie for free as well, and I'm bitching to somebody about it.
There you are. I see you're entering.
What up?
Hey, what's up, guys? Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you perfectly.
Awesome. I can hear you perfectly. Hey, thanks for having me, guys. This is going to be fun.
Awesome. No problem. What up,
I have
Nick?
to apologize on behalf of the other Nick.
Hey, look, man.
He is not technology
I'm very technically
friendly.
savvy. I'm just
He's
late
not
getting
tech
home
savvy.
from work.
Do not trust him. This is why we call the podcast Nick's Right, because we argue, and
right.
he is wrong in this area.
Hey, this is going to be fun. Like I said at the top of the hour, if you guys, I am not up to par. I'm going through the flu right now. Some of the other guys are under the weather too. So if there's anything we can do out there listening in podcast land, give us the benefit of the doubt, and we will fix it.
Probably wants to take a fucking cough drop. That sounds so hoarse.
But if you guys did not join us last week we reviewed, we had a fun conversation all about ghosts of girlfriends past. So if you
I
guys
was sick during that episode.
Yeah, so it's going everywhere. If you guys have not heard it, go back and check it out. We had a very, very fun conversation all about ghosts of girlfriends past.
Now Matthew McConaughey, he was all over the Super Bowl this weekend.
He was, yeah.
He was in an Uber commercial. He was in like a digital data commercial and another commercial. So he was in 3 commercials. I was just waiting for him to show up on the field and accept the trophy with the team.
Yeah, so I've never seen Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, but I did see him all over the Super Bowl. I love his Uber Eats commercials.
Yeah.
So if you had to compare that, his Uber Eats commercials with Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, just in terms of entertainment quality, which one takes the cake?
The Uber one was probably funnier because it's pretty true. The NFL does nothing but make food make people hungry. So yeah, I agree with them there.
Yeah. All of it was more entertaining than the half show. I'll tell you that right now.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry. I had to throw that out there. It just wasn't entertaining. I had nothing against anybody who was performing. It was just not entertaining.
I lost all my cookies.
Oh, no.
I think it was more for the artistic element than anything on that. Just because there was a lot of messages underneath, as well as if you don't know Kendrick as a artist and you don't know kind of the past and what's going on with him, that's the type of artist he is. He's not the flashy and gonna entertain the masses and stuff like that. He's that artistic side that you might not think of him as the biggest showman, but he's definitely trying to convey a message.
Well, I tell you this, man, I don't know too much about him, but I appreciated the fact that for the first time in my life, I saw a hip hop R&B rap artist wearing Levi Strauss jeans during the Super Bowl.
He got a lot of crud for that.
Did he really? Okay.
Well, everybody was telling him to give Lainey Wilson's bell bottoms. Oh gosh! I was like, oh my god.
Well, isn't that like hidden message towards Drake or something like that? Like their feud.
Yeah,
with that.
There was a lot of
the least hidden message thing of that whole entire thing. Like the A chain he had on in music terms is an A minor, which is another reference towards the song and the kind of big hit 2 words that he portrays on that.
See, I just thought he was a huge Amazon fan.
I know.
I did think Amazon when I saw that.
Right?
I was like, is he like paid by Amazon just to wear the A?
Free publicity.
Serena Williams, the girl in the blue jacket that was doing the dance by the street pole, that's Drake's ex-girlfriend. So there's another underlying reference.
To the streets.
Like there's just so many different layers to that whole performance. On top of that,
being the video game, it's taking place on the PlayStation, and then it's saying game over and all that shit. I know that.
But hold on. The reason for that, though, is yes, it's PlayStation, but Sony is the one who owns the label that Drake is on.
Oh, okay.
One big shit talking contest last night.
Shot after shot, basically, for the whole 15 minutes.
Essentially, I mean, after you get one of the hardest diss tracks in history, after you have one of the biggest songs of last year, after you get 5 Grammys for that diss song, and the Super Bowl under your belt, like, why not?
Because the Grammys was the week prior, right?
Yep.
Like
Sunday prior.
But I can't stress this enough. Speaking of award show, next week is our award show. We're going to be handing out some awards: best movies, worst movies, favorite actor, favorite actresses, favorite director. Next week, can't get here fast enough. It's one of the biggest shows of the year. Moving on with a bunch of announcements coming up tomorrow. If you guys want to catch us live again, right here on Emisawa Productions YouTube channel, we will be having a sports conversation. It's WrestleMania season, so why not join us tomorrow as we'll count down the last 5 years of WrestleMania as we head into April.
I'll just say I'm a part of that episode tomorrow, and I've started watching WrestleMania 35, and that's the first one we're going to be starting off with. And my God, is it brutal!
Yeah, it's pretty.
It is 6 hours of nothing but just wow,
trash,
mediocrity, actually.
And then before we get into some other stuff, the real reason Nick is joining us, Nick. Whoever wants to, this is going to be so much fun because I'm going to say Nick, and both you guys are like, huh?
Yeah, happens all the time, man.
This is going to be fun. Let's kind of give a little preview, or if one of you guys want to step up and pretty much go for what the graph is going to be here. I'll be the mediator in between you guys. Starting, I didn't have a rough date yet, but I'm guessing sometime this spring, maybe March. Maybe
we're trying to. We've got a platform going on in TikTok, and I think YouTube are our biggest followings right now. Meta hates me, so anytime I try to start anything on Facebook or Instagram, I get suspended. I have no idea what's going on.
Well,
I do.
We'll take care of that here.
Okay, good.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. So I have started an Instagram, so it's all labeled Nick's Right podcast or Nick's Right of any kind of sort. Like we are going to be talking about politics, but our biggest thing that we do is we argue, and we argue really well. So we wanted to monetize that. We wanted to monetize our arguments because we just had an argument today because I told Nick, I was like, look, hey, we just got the budget in for
let me ask.
Here we go. Here we go.
No. You got to let me set the preface here. I started this.
But you're going to set it wrong.
I'm not going to set it wrong. I'm going to tell exactly how it came about. Okay. So I basically we were lifting because he asked me to keep him accountable with getting his lifting started back because when we shot the movie 426 and came back, he lost his schedule. So when it comes to filmmaking, I'm sorry, I'm going to turn my internet off on my phone so it doesn't. I asked him, or I told him, I was like, hey, I finally got the budget in for Destined. It's a 2000 national title team for OU movie that we're making. I've already interviewed Bob Stoops and all these other people, like 17 players on the team that year. We've got this film in development. Nick wrote it. So we're waiting on it to be packaged. One of the packages is the budget. And all I said to Nick was, hey, I finally got the budget in for Destined. And he's like, tell him what you said, Nick, because I don't want to. Just tell him what you said. Don't.
I asked him a very simple question. I said, the whole budget.
Okay, yeah. That's and
makes perfect sense to me.
From him saying that, I knew he was asking, or maybe he was misunderstanding what I was saying, because in film, when I say we got the budget in, I'm not saying we got the money in, and he knows this. If I said we got the money in, it would be like, hey, we've secured all our funding. That would be money in. But the budget means we've got a line item breakdown budget is what we have. And so we had this long back and forth argument, and it got heated. We were yelling at each other. I mean, we were in the middle of lifting, so it kind of went with what we were doing. But and not only that, I think the best argument that we've had so far is the argument between if technology is meant to be perfect or convenient. That has been the best one, because Nick is not.
Okay, Nick, hold on just a second. All right, I try very hard not to talk over you, because I know that doesn't. No one understands what we're saying when we talk over each other. But let's back up. Okay, so when my contention was this, and guys, I want y'all to weigh in and tell me who's right and who's wrong here. If I'm wrong, that's okay. I'm big enough to say I'm wrong. Okay. But if someone's buying a new car, right, and someone says, "Hey, let's go buy this car," and they say, "Well, that's in my budget," that means they've got the money.
But that's not what film is.
Or if they say, "Don't talk over me, Nick. It's a podcast, bro." Or if they say that's not in my budget, that means they don't have the money, right? So when someone says, "I got the budget in," they got the money.
Okay.
Go ahead, man. Sorry.
The simple question, or the simple answer is Nick's right.
Yeah.
That's the point.
That's the whole point. So we're going to try to monetize our argument, because we've gotten into some smackdown arguments to where Nick walked off, because I do get
not that simple.
I get pretty heated whenever we're getting into an argument or we're getting into a discussion. And I think we got so heated one time, and he said I was yelling. I don't think I was yelling. But this is always whenever we're at the gym, and he works at the gym. So this is his workplace. And I think I said, he was starting to walk off. I was like, "Why are you walking off like a liberal?" He did not like that. And then he kept walking off. Man. And then I was like, "Why are you walking off like a woman, dude?" And he didn't appreciate that at all either. And then it turned into like one of those discussions with a lot of heat behind it, and apologies had to be made.
Listen, man, y'all are going to learn to feel a certain way. Y'all are going to learn to feel a certain way.
Well,
I give us like 3 episodes.
Well, the fact that you guys are just like advertising this is not even the first official episode. Like, hey, I'm excited about it. So.
Oh, fantastic! Awesome.
It's gonna be fun, and we'll argue about. I mean, we pretty much align on politics, but the clips that I've been putting up has been mostly politics. One of the videos that I put up just went viral. It happened to be misinformation, which I was very sad about, because I saw another creator put up a video saying, "Hey, Elon Musk spent $40 million of his own money to put up 5 ads in the Super Bowl to expose all the corruption." And I put that same video up thinking it was like truth. And of course it didn't happen. And now I'm like getting all the comments back of like, "Well, this didn't age well." And I'm like, yeah, but it actually gave us a boost in followership, and and they're still following us. Like they actually like the content that we're putting out. So if you just search Nick's Right or Nick's Right Podcast on TikTok or YouTube, you should be able to find us. Juan's going to help us get started on like the podcast side. So we're hopefully we can be with you guys for a few episodes. And plus we're filmmakers. We actually make films and we love talking films. Like we talked today, and we didn't necessarily argue, but we definitely disagreed. Nick asked a question saying, what's a good movie for you that was bad for everybody else? Which I thought was a good question. And my answer was the original Daredevil. Nice. I actually liked that one because I liked how it portrayed his powers. Like you could see it from his point of view, and even though the TV show was far better, but it didn't give that point of view. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then of course Nick said a movie because he's 50, and he said a movie that I've like never seen before, and I couldn't relate.
What was it?
First of all, there's nothing wrong with 50. 50's great. Treat me fine. I'm a big noir guy. I love noir, especially new noir. You know, it's if they do a movie correctly, it's a kind of a police procedural. It's got the renegade, half alcoholic cop, and the big musical pings. You know, like noir does. I'm going to probably be a fan of that movie. In 1992, there was a movie called Basic Instinct with Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
everyone hates that movie for whatever reason, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I love that movie.
I think it's because of all the nudity and sex in that movie.
Yep. Yeah, that's what he said too. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
He's like, Nick, you wouldn't like it, and I'm like, and he's telling me it was all the sex and nudity, and I was like, oh yeah, I wouldn't even dare to watch that.
In 1992, I was a freshman in college, and I just moved into the dormitory, and I had a non-English speaking roommate whose name was Alfredo Albores Guillen El Tercer, and because he didn't speak English, he couldn't communicate with all of the rest of us fellas, right? So we were like, let's take him to go watch Basic Instinct, man. That's kind of the universal language. so
must have been a great experience.
That was awesome. Yeah.
They got tits and ass where he's from. That's universal.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Oh wow.
Oh my god.
It was a fun night.
So we'd love to stick with you guys and talk all the movie stuff because we can do it at length. And if you guys wouldn't mind us giving some harmless plugs, we do have a movie coming out hopefully in April. It's called 426. It is a faith-based film, but it's also a horror film. So when we first called it a Christian horror film, we were like, those two words don't go together. Let's relabel it. And so we relabeled it as supernatural thriller. And it's pretty awesome. I can send one next time. We can get the trailer up there if you guys want to watch the trailer. We have a teaser trailer that we sent out to the distributors. Looks like it's going to be in 1,000+ theaters, and we're very excited about it. Yeah. So it's one of our babies. It is based off of a true story. It's based off of my failed marriage, but we wrote into the movie that the marriage didn't fail because we know like people like good stuff, redemption. So there's a lot of demon work in it, but Jesus wins in the end. So we made it to where it's highly redemptive.
Yeah, even though I will say, going back to the whole idea that a faith-based thriller is not market viable, if you look at The Exorcism of Emily Rose and The Exorcist itself, hailed as the greatest horror movie in the world. I think faith-based horror has a genre that's unto itself, but you can't really base your marketing on that. So
but
we just recently reviewed Heretic, and that's about nothing but religion and different aspects of religion on how certain religions are a big they're cobbled together portions of other religions, and they just take what they like and they add, and it was a very interesting watch in a horror setting.
Nice.
It was basically a history lesson in a horror setting.
History lesson in horror setting. Yeah.
Well, if you really think about it, I mean, this is not really a horror by the term horror movie, but this is like real life horror. Sound of Freedom that did really well at the box office. We talked about that about 1.5 years ago. So
we're connected to Angel Studios. We decided not to go with Angel Studios for the distributor. But have you guys seen a movie called Nefarious? Oh, watch it. It's not necessarily horror, but it's very intense. We kind of implemented some of the stuff that they did on how we shot our movie, but our movie is called 426 because it's based off of Ephesians 4:26, where it says don't let the sun go down on your anger, which is what a lot of couples like to do. They don't want to resolve things, and so in the movie it's basically it's all a dream that they both the husband and wife wake up in, and in the dream they're being attacked by the enemy. So since it was in a dream, we get to really play around with the demonic attacks, if you know what I mean. So it's going to be super creepy. It's super creepy.
I had a class in November. My entire class in November was all over Ephesians.
Oh yes. Really? I love Ephesians, dude. Especially for married couples, Ephesians 5 hits hard. The modern day lady doesn't like the word submit. The guys think they're supposed to be, the boss, but no, they're supposed to be the leader, like Christ was the leader and gave himself up for the church and died for it. Like it's a great, I think, very straightforward way of doing it. And the sad thing is, because it's based off of a true story of my broken marriage, that's what we couldn't handle. Like we couldn't resolve. And it was on both of our parts. It wasn't just her, it wasn't just me, it was both of us. So it really does say a lot in very few words when it says don't let the sun go down in your anger. But that also can be implied not just to marriage, but also to like like me and Nick, we're not going we're not going to bad at each other when it comes to how we argue and whatnot. We actually have fun with it, but it can be correlated to across the board, not just
wrath.
Wrath
and anger.
So yeah, man. But of course we already have the sequel written, and we already have some fun for the sequel, and that was going to be called, lo and behold, 427, based off of Ephesians 4:27. And we're building a film fund right now to where we can shoot about 5 to 10 movies this year. So we're very excited. Yeah.
Nice. Edward, how do they find us on the social media? All the links to our past episode, Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, Heretic, even next week going into the top 5. Where do they find all of our links to our episodes at?
Oh man, it's very, very easy, as you see on the bottom of the screen right there. If you can't, what you hear is where you're going to go. Facebook.com/The Cine-Men Movie Podcast. That is TheCineMovie Podcast. Instagram, all The Cine-Men Movie Podcast as well. X is Cine-Men 405. So CINEMEN 405. Email at cinemen921@gmail.com. We love to hear your thoughts. We love to hear your suggestions and all that stuff. We love to hear your critiquing and all that too. So go ahead and send us something. Send us anything. We love to hear interaction from you, please. Yeah.
You have a very radio voice.
He does.
Yeah,
He does.
yeah.
Hey, next on the podcast. Plus, he just pronounced the. I haven't asked Juan this. Like, I had no idea how to pronounce y'all's podcast name. I thought it was Cine-Men.
So honestly, it's just a play on cinema, and then
I just now got it. Like, okay,
that's pretty clever, man. I like it. Yeah.
Me and Zach used to work at the Warren Theater together.
Yeah.
Back 12 years ago, 13 years ago,
about 10 years ago. Yeah,
dude. Okay.
I had to really, which this came from basics, but I had to learn how to project pretty hard.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the guys either couldn't, like, Maleficent was one of the hardest ones apparently, because everybody kept calling it Maleficent, Maleficency and stuff like that. And I'm like, Maleficent, it's not that hard. Or
it's not.
There was a movie called Sex Tape, and a lot of guys didn't, weren't up to pronouncing that because they couldn't keep from laughing about it. And I'm just like, just a movie, man.
Well,
it's the word.
Sex tape.
Well, we worked there. You remember this? We worked there when 50 Shades of Grey, the first one, came out, and people. He had to yell it out because no one wanted to yell out the movie.
And I mean that too. It's just different stuff like that that's kind of helped along. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that I can relate to you guys. You used to work at the Warren Theater. When I was 15, I worked at Tinseltown. Yeah, I was an usher with the what do you call it? The suspenders and the
suspenders.
And I think that's where I kind of got my love for movies, because I think I saw Blade in the theater 6 times.
Wow.
Yeah. I got to witness Titanic in the theaters. Like not just me seeing it in theaters, but witness working there on how long it lasted in the freaking theaters, and it was always packed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was in the theater. What, summer of the next year or something like that?
Yeah. It was. Usually theaters. It was
like April.
It was
like I think Lost in Space, when Lost in Space came out.
Oh, I was in the theater when Lost in Space came out. Yeah, I was working there. I loved that movie. I would go in and listen to the rolling credits because they had like really awesome. It sounded like rave music. I don't know. It was bumping. But I go back and watch that movie now. I still think that one holds up.
But I think that's the weekend that finally bumped Titanic out of the #1 spot. Was the weekend that the Lost in Space?
Lost in Space.
Really? That's funny. Lost in Space didn't last very long at #1 though.
Not as long as Titanic. No,
I think Titanic maybe came back the following week and took it back. But
Well, let me give you guys some perspective, especially you guys have worked at the theater. Like when a movie goes to theater, it doesn't last in the theater very long. 1-2 months. If it's a good movie, 3 months. They want to keep it there to keep people coming back. Titanic was in the theaters for 6 months.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
6 months. That's
I think-
incredible.
I think Avatar was in the theater 9 months. It was a
Yeah.
little bit longer.
Yeah. Because Avatar is the one that actually beat it in the box office. I think it
Yeah.
actually approached the 2 billion or got over 2 billion mark.
And the last time I remember that happening, I think was Top Gun Maverick a couple years ago, because it was in theaters all the way to November.
Did they go over 2 billion?
No, I think it got to 1.4 billion.
1.4. Okay, but they got it to billion. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so happy to see Top Gun do well, man. That movie just
That's awesome.
It gave me new encouragement for cinema.
Yeah.
Like it was so easy to lose hope in movies and cinema, and then Top Gun comes out, and it was, in my opinion, as perfect as it was.
There was no
And I was
pushing
like-
any agendas. It was just a good movie.
Just a good movie. Yeah, everyone
movie. Yeah.
Everyone that went and saw it, they were like, "Man, I cried 6 times in that movie," and I was like,
"It was awesome."
Dude, I only cried once, man, for like 45 minutes.
I think I saw it like 3 times. Like every chance I had, I was like, "Oh, I got to go see it again."
Yeah,
so
I saw it
you know,
twice. I think I watched it 3 times since it's come to streaming. Like, but because I can just pick it up and watch it again if I wanted to, because it was just that good. You know.
Yeah.
But I know we're not
Call
talking
that
about
a
Top Gun tonight, but
Dunkirk cry.
Top Gun was a fun episode.
Mhm.
Let's get into some recent watches, guys. Nick and Nick, if you guys want to play along, you're more than welcome to. I'll let some of the other guys go first, and then you guys can kind of see how everything goes. And if you want to mention something that you've recently watched or recommend, go for it.
All right.
Zach, we'll start with you.
Like we've been promoting through the episode, our top 10, our top 5 plus 5 episodes next week, and so I've been getting through my list. I got one more movie. I got my 9 for sure locked in. Just where they're going to go, I don't know yet, but I got one more I need to watch. It'll either be an honorable mention or somewhere in the top 10. So, but my 2 big recommends. I finally finished. I don't know why it took me forever. I finished 1923. The new season's about to start up at the end of the month.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Johnny, have you seen 1923 yet?
Not yet.
Oh, it's good. It's right up there with Yellowstone, 1883. If you like that world, you'll like 1923.
Okay.
It ends on a cliffhanger, and I'm kind of glad I waited, and that way, like here in a couple weeks, it's still fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
And then go check out if you haven't seen this in theaters yet, Companion, from the director of Barbarian. It's right up there with Barbarian.
Okay.
A lot of twists and turns. Sophie Thatcher. I forgot she was in. I haven't seen Heretic, but I knew she was in that. She's awesome in this. So go check out Companion in the theater in 1923 on Paramount Plus.
1923. If I can ask a question, is that in the same? You said same universe as Yellowstone and 1883.
Yeah, it's one of the prequels to Yellowstone.
Okay. Can I give a harmless story?
Sure.
I auditioned for the stand-in for Tim McGraw in 1883.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
and the reason why they decided not to go with me is because Tim McGraw is freaking 5'8" and I'm 6'3".
Oh,
The only reason I didn't get to travel with 1883 and be his stand-in because I was too freaking tall.
You should have recommended your buddy Nick. Nick, come on, dude.
Hey, I didn't have a buddy Nick at that time, so you know.
I guess, all right.
Anyway, go ahead.
I'm going to rapid fire through mine real quick. If you guys want to ask any questions, go for it. The Apprentice, Sebastian Stan. Saturday Night.
What'd you think about that? I liked it. I thought it could have been a little bit more than it was.
I disagree. I think it's going to fit right in there somewhere in my top 5 next week.
Oh, okay.
Top 5 good or top 5 bad?
Top 5 good because of how the aura of Saturday Night Live was. And then you know how I am with A24. This movie has so much anxiety from start to finish with the score. And then as soon as it was over, it made me want to go watch Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
So does it go kind of deep, or does it stay within like the first?
It goes very deep in the last hour and a half before they go live in that first episode. It's all about the last 90 minutes of them trying to get their stuff together before they go live.
Okay.
That sounds great.
And there is
casting.
It's on point, and there is chaos all over the place. Like exactly probably what happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wait, can somebody educate me on this? I haven't heard
this
movie.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay. It's called Saturday Night.
It's about the first episode of Saturday Night Live.
Oh, I think I've seen previews
when
of
they
that.
were launching it, they didn't know what they were doing. Everything was kind of a shot in the dark. They were hoping it worked. I'm assuming I haven't seen the movie, But yeah, apparently it's the 90 minutes leading up to curtain.
The casting is on point. Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi. It's like right on point.
Nice.
It looks like it was casted pretty well from what I've seen. I was like,
even the guy that they got to play Jim Henson, I was like, oh god dang, is that the real Jim Henson for a minute?
And then you have fun small cameos in there with Willem Dafoe's in there.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'd say check it out. It's actually a pretty good movie.
Also on Netflix, Emilia Perez, which is being nominated for 13 Oscars.
Yeah.
You texted me. You're just like, dude, you need to watch it before the Oscars. So I'm gonna try and watch it.
It's interesting for sure. The new Tom Hanks movie Here, which is also on Netflix. Then I got into my Matthew McConaughey binge and watched Failure to Launch 10 How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Say Sahara.
We're talking about that's next month.
Yeah.
We're talking about that next month, actually.
Love Sahara, dude. One of my all-time favorites.
It's the worst movie ever made.
Hey, you
Sahara's terrible, bro.
Dude. Like, go
terrible.
Rocks. Okay.
It was just dry.
Dry,
hot.
I didn't believe it.
It's one of the best movies out there. You guys have no idea.
It was like a desert.
Just kidding.
Hey, Nix, if you guys want to be on that episode, please. That would be a really fun conversation.
All right.
We'll come. We'll come to that one.
It feels like Nick, you guys did you guys rehearse this at all?
No, like this is
we got a lot of experience.
Off the cuff, we argue, we bitch, we moan. I'm sorry, I didn't know if we could cuss or not.
No, say whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. Love it.
We talk about movies, so we have to talk
that's
about
a good
really
point.
weird things. You know,
good point.
We've had to talk about butt plugs because it was a scene in a movie. You know. It's
oh gosh. Okay. I do want to be clear. Like me and Nick are followers of Jesus. Like we love Jesus. Like most of our films that we make sure that they are glorifying to Jesus, even if it's gritty. But just wanted to put that out there. But no, we wish we had cameras following us. Because the eruption of argument that can happen, it would go viral every freaking time, dude.
It'd be a good reality show.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be the fake reality; it'd be real.
And I'm a little intimidated by the idea of doing a podcast because I want our banter back and forth, whether it's argumentative and bombastic and violent or whatever, to stay organic. You know what I mean? To stay natural. I don't ever want to disagree with Nick just because I want
just put
content,
technology in front of him and he'll start to get
Shut
flustered and
Shut up. That's so
I think that's where I can come in. I can just bring up a random subject and you guys will be like,
you have no idea how, and that
if it helps,
work. Yeah, that can work. Yeah, especially if it's a movie we don't agree on.
The biggest thing about doing a podcast is trying not to step on each other whenever you're talking and giving each other time to respond, because a lot of people sit there and think when you ask a question, there's that long pause that people like to have, like, hey, did you hear about this? And there's like 3 to 5 seconds of just dead air. But it's like, hey, there's no reason for that dead air. You heard what I said, right? Yeah, I heard it exactly as you said it. And so it's just like, just go with it, man. Just keep talking. And that's the one thing that a lot of people tend not to understand is that just talk, but just don't step on each other. Because it can come real. You guys know each other's personalities enough to know probably when you're going to be able to interfere in a conversation or, you're like, bring
Sometimes
your point across.
Yeah,
and that just makes it good. But those are supporters of doing a podcast.
Oh yeah, no, we appreciate that, man.
Yeah, I love that. That's something I try to stay consciously aware of, because when you see two guys yelling at the same time, like on
it just becomes
Fox or whatever, CNN, it's just a mess, man. So,
but we all
it's good advice.
It's like I'll watch those things over and over again. And plus, I think the reason why we've been kind of hesitant to start a podcast and get into a series, but it's going to be funny in the same time, is because I know that I would be responsible for all of the technology, because Nick will not be able to do any of that. And I'm like, do I want to take on this responsibility? Because Nick's only going to be talent, and so
it's not entirely true, but
you know it is. Like, okay. We're going down the technology hole.
But now, how easy was it today? You guys just click a link, you show up.
No. Don't even start lying, Nick, because when I came into the chat and there was like 3 guys here, and then another guy joined, I had to mute and turn my camera off because Nick couldn't get the link to work. So I had to be on the phone with him, and I'm like, just do this and then do this. He's like, it's not working, bro. It's not. Just do this and do this. Like it. So and
it's overspeak. It's not true. If you had never, it's not. I figured it out. I'm here.
Oh shit! Yeah, you did with me on the phone with you, which means I would be responsible for all of it. I'm sorry.
Let's continue.
You're good. I finished out the week with some chick flicks, Mystic Pizza and Heather's, and then again, rest his soul, Mr. David Lynch put out another masterpiece that I finally got to check out, Mulholland Drive.
Mulholland Drive, yeah.
From 2001, man. I was like, I found it. It's kind of sad too that I went out and purchased as soon as I found out he passed away. I'm like, man, I need to go get some of this stuff.
Did he die?
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Was it recent?
Yeah, it was like a month ago, I think.
I thought it was like a week or 2 ago. So yeah,
2 weeks ago.
I didn't mean to interrupt you on. Sorry, man.
No,
I just had to know. I had to know.
Yeah.
January 15th, so about a month ago, yeah.
But yeah, if you guys haven't seen that movie, I don't know why a lot of his movies are like 2.5 hours long, but it's deep, man. It's real deep. I highly recommend it. So, but that's it for me. If I had to recommend anything real quick, just because it's simple and it's fast, you can get them on Netflix. Saturday Night, Emilia Perez, and Here. Those are all on Netflix. Oh, and then Wicked. I checked out Wicked for today's episode.
Yep.
So, Jay, what about you? We'll go with you real quick. Did you check out anything? Do you want to recommend?
I sat there and I'm doing a franchise run through different franchises right now, and I recently I did it while I was sick. I did the Aliens run.
Oh, here we go.
And Juan kept giving me shit. He's like, "Oh, Aliens 4, Aliens Resurrection." I'm just like, dude, I thought it was all right. That's one of those ones that.
Thank you.
It's fine. It's a decent movie. It's all right. It's an alien flick.
Yeah.
But I went through all of them. I even watched Prometheus, Alien Covenant. I watched them in their timeline order since we watched Romulus. So now I've seen them in timeline order. And then I watched Alien vs. Predator 1, had part 2 in my hands. I was like, fuck this. No.
See, that's where you and I differ. I love the Alien vs. Predator movies. Love them, dude.
I remember watching it back when it first came out, thinking, my gosh, this is just the most horrible shit ever. And I'm just like, I grew up in the 80s with, really schlocky action movies back in the day, and this is just bad. I couldn't see shit. Like the
Requiem, it is so dark. You can't even tell what the hell's going on.
It's like it's so dark. Like, is that a predator? Is that a leaf? What the hell is that?
Yeah.
And so we were at the video store, me and Juan were, and that's when he bought his Mulholland Drive Blu-ray, and we were flicking through it. He's like, "Hey man, you should start that next." And I was like, "What's that?" And he showed me Beyond the Planet of the Apes. I was like, I was actually thinking about doing that myself. So I went through and I watched all 5 of the originals within a day and a half of all 5 original Planet of the Apes movies, and then I watched the Tim Burton one last night. And
so the Andy Serkis. Have you done the Andy Serkis ones yet, or is that next?
No, that's next.
Okay.
But I've seen them all before, but it's just one of those things you just take. I pick a franchise. I'm on disability, so I can't work. So it's just I might as well exercise my brain a little bit. If I'm doing a movie podcast and discussing movies with people, I might as well,
might as well watch Aliens.
Yeah, lift some weights and use my brain power.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Because be a little bit on point on at least what I'm talking about. And I'm the type of guy that also likes to check out documentaries on YouTube. So
I like those too.
If there's like a 6-hour documentary on how they made Star Wars or how they made Sin City, I'm there. I'll watch it. Let's do it.
Let's go.
But out of all those, they're all classic movies, so I recommend any of them actually. Just Even the bad Aliens 4, Aliens 3 wasn't as.
I was working in the theater when Aliens Resurrection came to theaters. I thought it was a great movie.
What? I
seen it in theaters. I seen it in theaters and I loved it. I seen it opening weekend.
Same, yeah.
I have to admit, man, I like Aliens 4 as stupid as some of the decisions are that they make in that movie. I like it better than Aliens 3.
Aliens 3 is weird. It's a really weird David Fincher film.
That's his first.
He had nothing to fucking do with that movie, though. That's the whole point. He directed it, but whenever they got to the end, they were like, nope, they took it away from him, and that's why there's this producer's cut.
He hates that movie.
Well, I think they screwed the fans too. When you start a movie out and immediately the entire cast that you fell in love with from the previous movie, they're all dead.
Yeah.
Except for one, and there's no there's very light explanation to it. You just start the movie out, and they're dead. And I was like, this.
I was pissed for another reason, is because I see the teaser trailer leading up to the movie, and it's basically an egg forming on Earth, and it's like finally gonna happen, and it's like, holy shit, aliens on Earth, it's gonna happen. And then we got the penal colony. It's like, what the hell was that shit? And then depending on which version you watch, it's a dog that creates the alien in one and an oxen in the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
And I watched the producer's cut. I think it's the oxen in the producer's cut.
Oh man. Yeah, they had a hard time with that one.
What about you?
Wait, which one?
Me?
Ed? What about you? Check anything out?
Honestly, funny enough, I've just been doing TV shows for the past little while. Seen this one, thought it was kind of interesting. School Spirits.
Oh yeah.
It's on Netflix. First season, second season's on Paramount Plus. Every Thursday now it's coming out. Second season is just a month in its entirety. So basically about a girl. She dies at the beginning of the story, and it's about how her spirit's trapped in the school. She has to solve her murder, and it just kind of balls into a lot bigger of a story than what she expects. She doesn't know that other spirits are still there trying to move on. They're almost kind of in purgatory, if you will, for a bit. Not sure how to move on. The other one is kind of what y'all were talking about a little bit. Yellowstone. Finally caved in and started watching that. Never had before.
Nice.
I've seen a bunch of clips, and Rip and Jimmy are so far the two characters that kind of roped me in, if you will. So it's kind of cool to see how Jimmy so far kind of starts turning himself around and abused like a dog, but he's doing a lot better. And Rip's just that man's man, takes care of any and everything, doesn't ask questions, doesn't ask how. He just goes through that hoop and says, okay, let's go. Where's the next, kind of thing. So it's a crazy watch.
How far along are you?
Season 2, episode 6.
Okay.
Okay. Has the guitarist come by yet?
Walker, yes.
Walker
has.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
you guys got me wanting to. I'm going to restart it. That's it. I'm
I haven't seen it yet either. My mom has been telling me.
So I'm just kind of.
Yeah,
it's kind of got a lot of different characters in it, for that matter.
Is season 2 the brothers? Is season 2 the
bad guys?
Yeah, the brothers as the bad guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
3 episodes past that right now.
Okay. It's about to get really good.
So I mean, so far Beth irritates the hell out of me, man.
She's one of the best. She's one of the best characters. What are you talking about?
She irritates me. She's a 34-year-old grown woman who acts like a 14-year-old spoiled kid.
I'm guessing
man. Yeah.
Is this the girl that I keep seeing in all the clips? Like it's a blonde girl. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Real beautiful, like strawberry blonde. Yeah,
has the mouth of a sailor. Yep.
Yeah.
Got it.
But I mean,
mind of a man.
On your don't get me wrong, and I only speak on this because I have 100% understanding of this, but on your mother's death day, you just strip completely nude and go out and go in a horse trough
and
bathe, basically. And then when you're love interest, boyfriend kind of guy comes through, you're just like, everybody suffers, including you. And it's just like, that's a 14-year-old speaking. That ain't no 34-year-old. Like,
that's a good point. Yeah.
My mom's been gone 25 years. I ain't going to the strip and go hang out in the backyard and be like, like,
you say what you want about Beth, but Beth, when it gets rough, she gets it done. I'll just say that.
I mean, I will say that. Don't get me wrong. I agree on that. But dude, her attitude, like Jamie is, and I already know a bit extra throughout season 4 and 5, so I know what path they're leading down. Teeter is going to be one of my favorites to watch. Tater. But yeah, I definitely recommend that if you like not necessarily a story that's just chaotic and just branched, but it is branched and it's thought out pretty well, I think. There's some heart-wrenching stuff in there. There's some stuff that it's all around. Stuff that makes you want to kick somebody in the face, stuff that makes you happy, stuff that makes you want to cry, stuff that it's all over the place, man.
Love it.
Yeah. And it makes you want to buy a pair of cowboy boots and the cowboy hat and go out to some rodeo. So you've never been to a rodeo.
Thanks to you, Ed. Johnny's got to rewatch the entire series, which I think the final episodes hit Blu-ray in April, I think. So there you go.
See, I'm already. And if you guys want official Yellowstone gear, at least here at Oklahoma City, down in Cowtown across from Rodeo Cinema, they have actual Yellowstone gear.
Wow,
that's cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
So,
dude,
it's expensive. It makes you want to go
it's
work.
Worth it.
It makes you want to go work on the ranch for sure.
It makes you want to try and upsell some guys on a horse for $3 million when it's just your crew.
Yeah.
Like $3 million.
So Ed, you recommend Yellowstone?
Definitely. School Spirits. Most people would probably be pretty good with it, but I could see where some people would not vibe with it too well. I could see it. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Before we go on real quick, I forgot that I mentioned one more movie that I've seen over the weekend, and it's the Drew Demi Moore movie, The Substance. Oh my God, that movie was cool until the very 30 minutes, and it just goes batshit fucking crazy, and there is no fucking rhyme or reason to why that movie should have went that way.
I've heard if people have never seen it, you watch it, and then the last 20 minutes you're like, what is happening?
I had to sit there and ask, I was like, what the hell was that all about?
So everywhere, everything all at once kind of thing. Yeah.
I still haven't seen that movie. There's something in my heart that says, don't watch that movie, Nick. And so
what, the Substance?
No, the one he just said.
Everything everywhere.
All the stuff everywhere. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's a pretty good movie. I think.
Without spoiling what the hell happens at the end of this movie, it is. I legit wrote down. I wrote The Substance. What the actual fuck was that ending?
Nominated for Best Picture, so apparently
the movie
it's one of the best.
The movie is beautifully shot, beautifully lit. It's got great acting. I wouldn't say Demi Moore deserves an Oscar. She's nowhere near that good. She's comatose half the time. Shit. And then it's just that when they turn this corner and they go and they're like, yeah, we're going to do this, and the result from that point on is just like, what the fuck did I just watch? And I don't know if I was supposed to make my expectations subverted or what, but it's not what I expected at all. It was fucking weird.
Wow.
Weird.
Nick's, what about you guys? Wants to go first?
I'll let Nick R go first.
Goodness gracious. Nick K. Yeah. Nick R, whichever. Well, I haven't watched a whole lot of movies lately. I've spent my evenings doing work, actually, and it's time-consuming work that kind of takes me away from being able to watch movies. But
he's our staff writer, by the way, you guys. He's the one that writes all of our scripts. He's
I've just been doing a lot of
storyteller. Writing. He's been spending because he's been on a deadline, so he's been spending a lot of time doing that.
Yeah, I'm on. Shameless plug. I'm working on a screenplay with Stacy Dash. Do
you guys know who Stacy Dash is?
Oh God! Oh no! I grew up with that girl. She
was
a part of my teenage years, if you get
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She's exactly what you would expect. She's sweet as she can be and bubbly, but I think she eats rusty nails for breakfast, man. Like it's you don't mess with her. But anyway, yeah. But y'all have talked a lot about one of my favorite topics to discuss lately, and that's Yellowstone. Because I've seen Yellowstone, I've seen 1883, and about a year ago, I watched 1923. And what I like about Yellowstone so much, especially during the early seasons, which is what I think most series that are bingeable are guilty of. I mean, they're so good through the first 4 seasons, is that the storylining is very, very quality and character driven. That I don't really see a whole lot of anymore, and haven't since like the first generation of bingeable series. Like I think Dexter was very, very good. I think the first 4 seasons of what is it?
Breaking Bad.
The first, you know exactly what I was talking about because it ain't season 5 or 6, but the first 4 seasons were awesome, and it's because of that sort of thing. They're very character-driven stories with a lot that goes on, which is kind of ironic, ironic. But you get that with Yellowstone. Like these characters drive the stories forward with the decisions they make, and it just makes for really interesting stuff. Especially if you like the characters, like you were talking about, Rip, yeah. I keep want to call him Snap. I don't know why. Rip. Yeah, Rip is awesome. The guitar player, when he comes on, I liked him a lot. Jimmy's good, even though he was a little bit of a beta boy, at least in the beginning. I think he grows, but his character arc is good,
He's one you're rooting for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because coming from the bottom of the barrel where he was in the slums, if you will, to all the crap he dealt with on the first episode with Rip, getting branded and you better not cry, all this crap, and all this stuff. Because like I said, I've seen clips from episodes that I haven't gotten to truly watch yet, and the stuff he goes through with like Travis and Rip for that matter, and then every other guy. I forget the orange or the orange haired dude that bullied him, and then Rip came and just beat him up by the side of the barn.
Oh yeah,
and it was telling him like, we live here, we die here. They may come and go, dozens of hundreds, whatever, but we live here and we die here.
Yeah,
the bar scene and stuff like that. So it's just he's one you want to root for.
Yeah, not to mention the fact he falls off of a bucking bronco and breaks every bone in his back. He's like in traction. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, he was awesome. What that leads me into is 1923. Because I saw 1923 about a year and a half ago, and yes, I've been waiting for that cliffhanger to come back because I want to see what happens. But see, without getting long-winded, I got a lot to say about 1923 because I didn't like it as much as I was hoping I would, except for one element of it. And
I truly think it has, like, Yellowstone is so fast paced and you get into the storylines. This one's a lot more slowed down than even 1883 is, in my opinion.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And 1883 is slow. It's kind of real ethereal. It's kind of in your head a lot. But what I did like about it was the love story between
Spencer and Alex.
Like, I don't want to be too mushy of a fella here. All right. But that's like the greatest love story I've ever seen, man. It's got adventure. These two people are together because they took a chance on it. It's got everything. There's lions and tigers and bears. Not to mention boat sinks and sinking boats. It's got everything, man. It's an awesome story.
Considering I just literally just like watched the final episode of season 1 just a couple hours ago, I agree with you. I think, I mean, Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren are great in it, but I think Alex and Spencer, they're the heart of the show, in my opinion.
100%. Well, everybody's okay. I don't want to give anything away for those who haven't seen it and who are interested in seeing it. But the reason the cliffhanger exists has nothing to do with Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. You know what I mean? We're waiting to see that storyline.
Yeah.
And how they intermingle. I'm not going to give any more spoilers than that. But yeah. So if you want to, I know Nick's a sappy guy. I know if you want to watch.
Hey, I love Mush.
You love Mush?
I love Mush.
This
Check out
guy has
1923.
Twilight on repeat at home.
He really does.
He loves an Edward.
It's my turn, okay?
Really?
And you took my answer.
Oh.
I literally just rewatched all of Twilight, and I don't know what it is, whether it's and Nick's going to disagree with me. I think it's a well-told story. I think the only cheesy thing in it is that they sparkle. That's the
You're right,
stupidest
Nick.
thing.
You are right. You are right. I am going to disagree with you.
Did you know
my ex-wife? I seen the first one with my ex-wife, and I'm sitting next to her in the movie theater. And she's holding my hand and squeezing my hand, and I could just feel it getting tighter and tighter because the movie's pissing her off more and more and more. And I'm like, "You didn't like this?" She's like, "What the fuck was that?" I'm like, "Oh god!" And she was a fan of the books, so I was like, "Oh, the movie's infuriated her." I don't know if she since has changed her mind on them, or there's some like little soft spot for them, but she was pissed.
I loved them. I thought they were amazing. Nick, go ahead and make your recommendations before I start.
Well, what's Ed say? What's Ed got?
The
man?
only reason that the Twilight movies exist is because 9/11 happened.
What? Now that's some hard.
That's an interesting
theory, and I want to hear it.
So 9/11 happened. Gerard, have you ever heard of My Chemical Romance, the band?
Sure.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a band that's a gothic emo band in the early 2000s, huge in that scene, called My Chemical Romance. Gerard Way is the singer for My Chemical Romance, and he happened to be like across the bay or whatever have you from the towers. He's seen it go down. When he started writing music, Stephanie Meyer apparently was a huge fan of the music. So she got a kind of vampire-esque thought process going, wrote the books to Twilight, and yeah.
And see,
wow.
that's why Edward gets paid the big bucks here. That's inside detail right there.
But then
Are you a conspiracy theorist?
A few things, yes and no. It depends. It depends.
Yeah.
Okay.
I enjoy conspiracies more than
I believe
believe in them,
9/11 was an inside job as well. Whoever said that, I agree with you.
That's another topic of discussion. Maybe whenever this thing pops off.
Hey, dude, we I think it was Candace Owens that said, if you're not a conspiracy theorist by now, then you're just willfully ignorant with all the stuff that's being proven right. And I'm like, that's a very good point, because I wasn't a conspiracy theorist until these past 4 years, and I'm like, but it's all coming true, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so
I was learning about that when I was in my teens. You guys would catch up. Come on. I grew up in that time frame where Alex Jones was just getting started.
Yeah.
Like he was just getting his start. He was in Texas doing his thing in Austin, and then he created a couple videos, and he just boom.
Driving around with his megaphone.
Yeah,
through city squares.
Whatever the one with the Bilderberg meeting and everything like that, he tried to videotape all that, and then the Bohemian Grove. The one that I liked was when he stuck his camcorder into Bohemian Grove and showed us everything they do there.
Wow,
so,
dang!
So that's where I got my introduction, and then 9/11 was an inside job thing.
Yeah.
That came soon after.
Yeah, he's hardcore. Yeah, so, okay, recommendations. I'm going to go with 1923, especially for all my fellow sappy suckers out there. Watch 1923. And if you're really that sappy, stay away from 1883.
I think it's even worse than 1883.
That'll break you as a person. It was grim. But yeah, I mean, I guess as far as recommendation, I did just finish what is it? The Song of Fire and Ice, House of the Dragon.
House
of the Dragon. That was great. It was much better than I was expecting. It was awesome because I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan.
I couldn't do it. I maybe I need to rewatch it, but I just are you talking about the TV show?
Yeah,
The TV show, yeah.
The newest one, not obviously.
I couldn't do it. Maybe I need to give it another chance, but I just couldn't.
Are you a hardcore Game of Thrones fan?
No, I mean I really liked Game of Thrones, but it's just I don't think the characters are as memorable as Game of Thrones, in my opinion.
That's a good point. Yeah,
he certainly doesn't think they're as memorable as Lord of the Rings.
No.
Oh, are you Lord of the Rings guy?
I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan.
Let's go, man. I got all the extended editions.
Oh, yeah.
The extended editions on Hobbit, man. I watch them once a year. Like,
hell yeah.
Hands down. And
you want to talk some Lord of the Rings? I am all in.
Let's freaking go. Let's go.
No, I'll do Lord of the Rings. Absolutely. I'm as big a fan as Nick is. But I didn't like the story, the spinoff. The spinoff.
The Hobbit.
No, love the Hobbit.
Oh, are you talking about that
TV show? The TV show.
Oh,
Rings of Power.
Yeah,
Rings of Power. I didn't like that at all, man.
They're getting better. Have you seen the second season, Nick?
No, I have not seen.
All right, the second season really starts to bring it together. I would say that, because it had one really epic line in it from the elf lord that was helping him make the rings, and he's figuring everything out, and he said, "You truly are Lord of the Rings." Like he kind of played it in, but his one line that was just super epic was, "You've deceived everyone so much that you've started to deceive yourself and you're believing it." Like that, and that just resonated with me because Sauron is basically representing Satan. You know what I mean? Like he's deceiving everyone so much that he's deceiving himself.
There's a lot of theology behind that statement.
Mm-hmm. It was epically good. The first season was a little hard to watch, but they didn't really kind of
put it together yet.
Yeah, the second season really started bringing it together. So
all right, I'll give it a shot. I mean, I want to give it a shot. I want to like it. I really do. But all right, Nick, go ahead.
All right, so I've done. I think my job is it takes like this much time each day because I just became a creator on TikTok, so I'm actually getting paid to do that. And me and Nick actually have day jobs of like Airbnb, and I also have cars on Turo. So I've got a lot of free time on my hands other than staying at the gym and making phone calls as a producer and whatnot. But when I get home, I binge. And so the most recent TV show that I binged was Landman.
Oh,
and
so good.
It was good. He got one detail wrong, but other than that, it's like a man's show. And the one detail that he got wrong, and according to my dad and the connections that he has with people in oil, because my mom also gets oil royalties, we're not going to run out of fossil fuels. They're naturally replenishing, which is what the left tries to say that's not happening. They're saying it's going to run out. It's not going to run out. It's naturally replenishing, which is why it's such a great fuel source. Anyway, that being said, that's the only thing they got wrong. Everything else was spot on in that entire TV show. You guys can fact check me on that if you want. It's you'll have to go through something that's very unbiased that doesn't push any kind of agenda to be able to find that kind of information out. But this is just coming from people who are actually in oil. So that TV show was pretty good. I hated that it was only 10 episodes. I was binging it pretty hardcore. And then recently I had gone on this thing of rewatching a lot of my favorites, and one of my biggest favorite TV shows, and it's actually split off into 3 TV shows, which is Stargate. I've rewatched Stargate SG-1, Stargate Atlantis, and Stargate Universe. I don't know why, but those are the TV shows that I can just go back and rewatch. Because I believe back then that was like the golden era of TV, and they actually put some effort into writing and action sequences and all this other stuff. So I rewatched that. I also rewatched Twilight, probably my 6th time rewatching Twilight. I've never read the books, but my younger sister is a bookworm, and she explained the books to me. And honestly, I think they did a pretty accurate job from what she explained of what the books were to what the movies were. Pretty accurate.
They sparkle, Nick.
I don't like that they sparkle. That's the only thing I don't like. But I will say this: the werewolves in Twilight were probably the best depiction of werewolves I've ever seen in cinema. Now, and people want to say like, I love Underworld. I'm a big fan of the Underworld series. Underworld, but dude, like those werewolves were epic in Twilight. They were just big, massive wolves. Like it was just
clearly,
cool. Like
quite literally.
Seriously, but Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of the werewolves and the vampire in Underworld because I liked it because it wasn't demonic or spiritual. It was just a virus. So I like that take on it as well. But the most recent thing that I'm rewatching currently, and it wasn't in the background, but I'm rewatching the newest Star Trek movies, so 1, 2, and 3. And big fan. Nick's not a fan. It's okay. He doesn't really appreciate good cinema anyway.
JJ Abrams. Hey. JJ Abrams is responsible for single-handedly ruining my childhood, man. He took every hero that I loved from 30 and 40 years ago.
He made it better. He made it to where everybody can enjoy it. It's not just Trekkies. Like everyone likes Star Trek now because of those 3 movies.
We reviewed the J.J. Abrams Star Trek films, I think, last year, and those are fun conversations.
Oh yeah.
I'm a fan myself, but I don't mind them. I think they're a good separate little timeline, you know.
Oh yeah, no, I do too. I mean, I'm a big fan of the TV shows, Discovery. Other than them pushing some types of agenda, but I love the new technology that they can use when it comes to being able to shoot new Star Trek TV shows. Because if you go back and watch Star Trek Next Generation when it started, like in the late '80s, you're like, wow, this technology sucks, because they didn't have the technology to shoot what they can shoot now, and it's just refreshing to see that newer technology. But
I grew up with. Oh, go ahead, John.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I grew up with all the Star Trek shows because they were all coming out at the time. You know, like Voyager.
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine is that's my jam right there.
It is completely underrated, I think.
Oh yeah.
Deep Space Nine is awesome, and people don't love it as much as they should.
I actually just rewatched Voyager because that's one of the TV shows I can go and rewatch. I think that's my favorite out of all of them. But I think it's because of when they were shot. They had just more technology at their disposal to be able to shoot it. So I'm one of those guys. Like I'm a very big visual guy. So if the visuals are not done right, I can't watch it. Like I'm not into old movies that have terrible visuals because it was shot in the 70s. Like I'm not into those.
You mean you don't appreciate novelty? Okay.
I don't appreciate bad cinema, Nick. So when it comes to like, I started watching TV shows whenever like Werewolf in Paris came out, you know, and it was actually computer animation that they started to bring all these things out kind of the same time that the first Jurassic Park came out, whenever they started the whole computer.
Werewolf in London had none of that. And it was one of the greatest
Werewolf in
animal I know, but Werewolf in London, you ought to watch that. It'll give you a whole new appreciation for practical effects.
I don't think it would.
Oh man, of course. There's no way it couldn't.
Speaking of starting a fight, Star Trek 09 is greater than the Wrath of Khan. Fight me.
Oh no, I agree with you. I agree with you. I am so for. I just watched Into Darkness, Star Trek Into Darkness. I just watched it, and I'm like, this is a way better depiction of Khan and the whole battle that they had. I mean, dude, the Cumberbatch, bro. Like you can't get better than that when it comes to
my disbelief way too much. At least I was given a character in the original that was based on pure sci-fi. This guy they tried to make him a real world bad guy. Khan is not a real world bad guy.
Yes, he is.
He was a space seed. He was floating around out there for 90 years, frozen. With his
exactly what they portrayed him to be in the new Star Trek. Like you have,
he was a terrorist in the original show. The genetics wars is the reason why he was frozen.
Exactly. Yeah. It was
he was a terrorist through that.
Yes, he was in his punishment, I guess, if you want to call it punishment. Like
which is exactly what they did in the new Star Trek. Like I don't understand what your argument is. You're like, no, they did
because
this.
They did the
same thing.
It's totally different. It's totally
have
different.
You guys seen the Star Trek Unification? Anybody?
Unification?
No, have not.
Yeah, it's the story. It's the 7 or 8 minute short that was, I guess, William Shatner had something to do with it. It's where Spock and Kirk meet up at Spock's death, and they look at and have one final moment together.
I saw that. That was awesome. That was like the best Star Trek I've seen.
That sounds like something out of Twilight too.
Okay, well, maybe they weren't sparkling. They were standing in the sunlight.
Shut up!
I bet they could have been sparkling if Spock had his way.
Yeah, no, that's up to the writers.
Violence. You're inciting violence.
let's dig into what we're talking about today. We are going to close the show out with the top 5 a little bit later on. Let's talk all about Wicked. Currently, IMDb has it at a 7.6. Rotten Tomatoes is at 88%. The Metascore is at 73%, while the Letterboxd is a 3.9 out of 5. With a release date of November 27th, 2024. The budget was $150 million. It grossed a little over $724 million at the box office. Zach, cast crew synopsis?
Yeah, so we have starring Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, Jonathan Bailey, Ethan Slater, Bowen Yang, Peter Dinklage, Michelle Yeoh, and Jeff Goldblum. Directed by John M. Chu. Elphaba, a misunderstood young woman because of her green skin, and Galinda, a popular girl, become friends at Shiz University in the Land of Oz. After an encounter with the wonderful Wizard of Oz, their friendship reaches a crossroads. So, as we all know, this is based off the hugely successful Broadway production. What you may not know, this is actually based off a book that the Broadway show is actually based off of. Nick, we usually like to do like first thoughts, and then we get into the film and spoilers, everything.
Sure.
So overall, I guess I'll go ahead and go first. Did anyone see this in the theater?
No, not Wicked. I have not seen it.
Okay.
I have not. I was so close to seeing it in the theater, but I did not check it out in the theater. I did watch it twice in the last 5 days, though.
Okay. I did see this in the theater, Thanksgiving weekend, and I had minimal expectations. Like this is one of the, I remember throughout the year, this trailer ran for I feel like it was every single trailer that when I went and saw the movie, it was that trailer.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of very hammered home. I was like, okay, we get it. Wizard of Oz. This is going to be epic, whatever. And dude, guys, I don't know about y'all, what you guys think about this. When it was over, I was like, I'm ready for part 2 later this year. So like by the end of it, I was sold. I'll just say that I really want to see the Broadway show because of this. And on the rewatch, I still have the same feelings, and yeah, I'll go with that. Johnny, what about you?
I'll go next. I did not see this in the theater. I did okay when it was first over. I'm not gonna lie. The very first time I watched it, I was like, "What's the hype all about?" I didn't like the story. I'm like, okay, she's sitting here trying to save animals. I wasn't in love with the music. I was like, the acting was kind of just. I've seen way better acting. I didn't understand the hype. I didn't understand all the Oscar nominations. It wasn't until I started listening to. So in between the 2 watches, I listened to the soundtrack, and then I was like, okay, let me give it another chance on this second watch before the podcast. Let me just sit down, turn everything off, no distractions, and just watch it. The second time around, I have to say I liked it a lot more than the first. I don't know. I really don't know what it was, but maybe it was attention to detail this second time around. But the second time around was a way better rewatch than the first time. So the second time coming out, I was thoroughly enjoyed by the movie. So what about you, Ed?
This is the first time that I've seen it. I did not get to see it in the theaters. It does a lot of villain's origin story is not as it should as it seems in the movie, for that matter. Talking about Wizard of Oz, of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll get into it here in a moment. Just
you know how to put somebody on pins and needles, you know that?
No.
It's like, I know he's got an opinion and I want to know it.
So Zach, I'm glad you brought up that it was. I know it's based off of the play, but I'm kind of glad you brought up that it's also based off of the novel. So we're not just getting lazy material from whether it's a writer or a director. This is actually a story arc that a director.
This is a hybrid of the two.
Yeah. To be fair, I haven't read the book and I haven't seen the play, so I'm just going in solely based off this movie. So
my ex-wife and my daughter, they were gung ho for Wicked from the very beginning. Whenever the Broadway play was starting off, and so I got to hear the soundtrack at my house quite a bit. You know, hearing that it's almost like hearing that Frozen song "Let It Go" in my house. So a lot of times it was defying gravity. I just sit there, just be sitting there listening to that all the time, and I'm like, have you had enough of this song yet, kid? She's like, no, we're going to do it again. I'm like, all right, from the top, you know, it's like, so finally seeing the movie to the lyrics that I've been listening to, I honestly would have enjoyed the movie without the musical aspect.
Oh yeah.
I would have just enjoyed just following the story along. All right. You know, if they want to give us, you know, the bad guy's not what she seems, you know, backstory. Fuck it, let's just do it. But I get the musical. They had to. So
okay.
Yeah.
That's where I could it could have been better to me as not as a musical.
What about Nick?
Well,
Nick,
I'll go first this time. I don't think Nick and I have either seen the movie. I have strong reservations to watch this movie. Okay. Not because of it's a good or bad movie, but because of what I've heard of what went on behind the scenes. And if you see noticeable difference of Ariana Grande before she did this movie and after she did this movie physically, I know a lot of physicality goes into making a movie. Nick and I both know that. Like that, we had very late nights and early mornings when it comes to being on set. But there was something else that was more on the wrong side of spiritual that was happening on the back end of this movie, and it was just weird to see how someone was pointing it out as a hardcore conspiracy theory. She was pointing it out, but it was a very demonic take, and it made me think like, do I want to support this? But I'm also a big fan of the Wizard of Oz story, and so I'm kind of at a crossroads. Plus, I also heard that they were really trying to push an agenda. So that you said that, you know, it was a good one, and you're waiting on the second one. That gives me a little bit of hope. So,
to be fair, I didn't know anything about the Ariana Grande thing or conspiracy or anything. I just
somebody smart me up, because I've heard a bunch of stuff as well. I saw the movie twice, getting ready for the episode.
I just think the movie broke her ass.
That could very well be it. I think it's more falling along the lines of something about how because I've heard horror stories of people in Hollywood when it comes to releasing albums and movies and releases, and they'll actually do rituals like blood rituals. And I don't know if you know this, but blood rituals fall strictly under Satan worship. Like that's all it falls under.
Not to mention some of the stuff. Sorry to interrupt you, but not to mention some of the stuff that happened to the original Wizard of Oz. Maybe some of the stuff that like Dorothy had went through, or you know, I actually have some of that stuff in my notes. But some of this, I'm blanking on her name already.
Ariana Grande,
who played Dorothy.
Oh, Judy Garland.
Judy Garland. The more stuff I've heard about her going through.
Yeah, so
they better as had methamphetamine.
Well, just the stuff that goes on whenever they're trying to launch a movie or launch an album, like you can only hear it from someone who is like fulfilled their NDA, and then they're willing to talk about it now. And sometimes they're not even willing to show their face, but those stories are out there, and man, are they just, there's a reason. And maybe I'm going to get some heck for this because I don't like that the LA fires are happening. I've got friends, kind of extended friends. Like we have a friend here in DFW who her family lives in the LA area. They're all safe, by the way. No one, I've never condoned anybody losing all their stuff, losing all their homes and all this other stuff. But when you look at what's happening in LA, has God not shown his justice? Like in the past, he has. And guess what? The Hollywood sign burned down. Like, if you can't see the proof in the pudding, like that's just how I look at it. Like, God can't, he said he would never, the rainbow is a symbol. He was never going to wipe out the earth again. It doesn't mean he's not going to wipe out certain areas, because he showed that with Sodom and Gomorrah. So anyway, Sorry to get on a tangent there, but when it comes to just the Hollywood and LA stuff, it goes so much deeper than we know. And I just heard that there was a lot of that stuff tied to it, which is what was happening to Ariana and her dramatic physical appearance change that she went through. So anyway, but I'm also okay with watching something if it's just good and entertaining. You know what I mean? Like as long as it's not pushing an agenda, if it's just good and entertaining, I can still do that as well. So but I've been kind of on the fence of watching it. So I may take you up on that.
Yeah. So my position on this is going all the way back to, say, the Dixie Chicks of the 90s. Whatever an artist's politics are, I don't care. If I like their art, that's what I enjoy most. Politics, as of late, as we all know, and I'm not getting on a political rant, has kind of deepened in terms of how it affects us in our personal being, right? So it's not just politics now; it's spiritual and it's personal, and so it's kind of harder to follow that sort of credo. But when it comes to Wicked, I'm not aware of anything that happened backstage. I just haven't seen it because it didn't look like a story that interested me. But that being said, as a musical, I'm not too sure there's very many people I trust to entertain me musically and vocally than Ariana Grande. I mean, that girl can pelt it out, all 95 pounds of her. She sings like a cannon.
Yeah.
And so I respect her for that. I'd have to. Nick's gonna have to fill me in on what happened backstage because I don't have the first clue. This is the first I'm hearing of it.
Yeah.
So Nick, you're right. The music of this movie just pushes you to want to watch it a little bit more. At least to me, like I said, after the first watch, and Jay can attest to this, I came out watching it for the first time, and I was like, "What did I just get done watching? This is the Avatar 2 of this year to me."
Oh no!
Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Listen to me. I got out this first viewing, and I was like, "It's too long. It's overrated." I did not like like I said earlier, I did not like the performances because I felt like the music just didn't push like it should have. And I don't know if this is a good or bad thing, but I had to go back and listen to the album. And then the second viewing, I was like, okay, the music now hits me. I get it in the feels. I understand the music now a little bit more. So, I mean, the first time I did not enjoy it whatsoever. I was probably leaning between a 2.5.
Wow. Okay. Now I'm like, maybe I don't want to watch it.
Well, I'll say this. I'll check out part 2. I wasn't interested, but the movie at least led me along enough to where I'm like, I'll see what they have for part 2.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and kind of go on both your sides for that matter. It took me 3 times to complete this week. It's taken 3 watches to complete. The first time I thought I was an hour and a half in, and I was only like 35 minutes in.
Oh, that's never good.
That's the worst.
That's never good.
And I think there were like 7 songs. No, probably like 2 or 3, but still. The second time, I think I was an hour and a half, and it felt like the Watchmen Extended Edition.
Yes.
However, I will, however, this. The final and complete viewing of it is what got me onto it because the last 35 to 40 minutes is where it makes its money.
Yeah. Okay.
When it gets to Oz, that's my point. I think
yes, like the last 35 to 40 or so. Exactly. Because don't get me wrong, like Jeff Goldblum does very well as the wizard, and all that good stuff, but
I feel like he's the best part of the whole movie.
No, 100%. He pushes both Elphaba and Glinda. That was such a dumbass thing. Okay. Well, no, that's
a thing in the movie.
It's a thing that's like hammered into your head in the movie, and it's like
really,
yeah.
So
her real name is Glinda, but by the end of the movie, she goes by Glinda. So that's the whole thing in the movie.
She wants to sacrifice her name for the greater good of the cause.
Yeah, give me an.
I don't know if you're serious.
No, dead serious.
That's a real thing.
Okay,
serious.
Is that in the Broadway play? Do we know?
That I do not know.
Book.
It's probably in the book, yeah.
But there is a teacher who is a goat.
Voiced by Peter Dinklage, yeah.
Goat, exactly. And don't get me wrong, you really feel for the character. You really do. Like, he brings it to life, and it's a cool character. There's a lot of things that go on with those, and then basically to like Jay said, to get for the betterment of their place, she changed it from Linda when she has so many arguments because the goat has a hard time pronouncing G's. Linda,
that's a literally. I can't tell if that's played for jokes or is that like a real thing.
Right?
Like, is it being serious?
And I mean, it wouldn't be a big thing if it was one and done, but this is like a dragged out thing for like a minute and a half, 2 minutes in the film, like literal time.
You know what else I hate, Ed, is when she's getting before she gets on the train to join Alphaba to Oz, she turns around and makes an announcement that she's changing her name.
Well, that's what you're talking about.
I'm like,
the bravery.
Does that need to be in there? To me, this movie would have done very, very better.
Here's how I interpret that scene.
At 2 hours and 20 minutes.
My interpretation of that whole setup and design was to sit there and just show you how self-centered Glinda really truly is. It's Elphaba's moment, but somehow, some way, she has to turn it into her moment.
But you forget the hair toss, the bullshit.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying.
No.
It's always stealing her friend's thunder.
That is ridiculous, but like I laughed at that every single time she did that. Like, I know it's played for laughs, and it's completely ridiculous. There's literally one of the songs in the show or in the movie is popular. And it's like
a big hit of it.
It defines Glinda as that character, like the preppy. I don't care. It's my way or the highway. I'm going to steal your thunder.
Turn the brain off. Looks is all you need.
So I hate how they just throughout the whole movie, you're given Alphaba as she's different. Obviously, she's green. She has sorcery powers. Okay. She has sorcery powers before she even gets to the school. And then by the time the movie is in the second act and finishes the third act, even when she starts to show some of her wickedness, you're still on her side because she's treated differently because of the color of her skin.
Well, in my personal opinion, that's all on Cynthia Erivo. I think she's better than Ariana Grande in this. She's like the best performance in my opinion.
My thing about the whole situation is that we're in Oz, where creatures and animals can talk, and we're freaked out that some girl's fucking green.
But okay,
come on. Seriously, there is a damn
saying anything.
There is a lion that legit talks. There is like I said, animals talk.
Yeah.
There's a scarecrow that has no brain.
There's a Tin Man that is walking around.
And you guys are really telling me that the most scary thing you could think of is some little green girl? Like,
wow.
Like, get the fuck out of here.
Okay, I do want to ask this. What wickedness does you see? Because the only thing she done that could be coherently... I mean,
okay. I say she starts showing some wickedness.
Yes.
I'm not saying she is wicked. But
one of the biggest things that she could read the Grimoire, which is like the big magic book, essentially that the wizard has. She's the only one that can interpret that.
But it's it's like a Harry Potter thing. Only evil people supposedly can speak snake, right?
Slither.
Hold on. No. Parcel tongue. First off. Second off, no, it's not just an inherently evil thing.
Thanks a lot, John. You just pissed him off about that.
No. It's just a line of things that happen. Okay, it's just a line of things.
Hold on a second. I'm not saying she is wicked, but she just starts showing some.
Everybody's showing signs of wickedness at this point. But that's the point: is whose wickedness are we going to sit there as an audience member? Going to sit there and be like, "Oh, I can get behind that wickedness because it's not as wicked as what they're doing." Wicked.
If I had to pick the person that shows the most wickedness in this entire movie, besides Mrs. Chow, which not yet, I'll get to her a little bit later, is the Wizard.
The Wizard's always been played as a fucking an asshole.
And
he's always been an asshole. Yeah, he's just been
Dorothy says it. Dorothy says it in the movie. You're an evil, wicked man.
Yeah.
He has. We even know, going back to the Wizard of Oz, we even know then that he has nothing magical about him.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's still. But up in this world, he's played up to as he's the biggest, most craziest. He's the wizard, but
he's the smartest of us all.
But here's the thing, though. You like the thing I really, really like about this is that Elphaba is not evil when this movie begins. She's not wicked. She's not the character that we know from the Wizard of Oz. I think I agree with you, Johnny. It's just there's some wickedness by the time the final scene of the movie hits and she's flying off and she has that grin on her face. I think that's the transition. That's like she's starting to be that character.
I would argue against it because, okay, not to do a play-by-play essentially, but the whole thing goes from she's born out of wedlock. Mm-hmm. She's green because of that, what happened at the beginning of the movie. It goes on that she's literally cast out as a slave or a servant by her own father.
Yeah.
Not just due to being green, but she has powers. And then he has another daughter, and he's like, "You're the apple of my eye. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. But you little devil, and all this." Then it goes on. She's made to be a hand servant, basically, for her sister. Then she's made, "Oh, you have powers. You're coming to school. You're going to be my student. Okay, I trust this woman now. Cool. Like, I get to learn how to use these. That's awesome." And then it goes on, and she betrays the woman betrays her. And it's like, hold up. You're an asshole. What's going on here? We're here with the wizard. He's an asshole too. And then you, who's been an asshole to me this entire time, we became roommates. You flipped and became my best friend. All of a sudden now, we're not necessarily warring, but we're kind of having to just because. Like, I will argue that she didn't turn wicked at all throughout this. Reading the grimoire, basically, but grimoire or whatever, just shown that she is the only one that has powers in this. That's all. Glinda, given a training wand, and couldn't do shit. The teacher didn't really show much. The wizard, just a dude who can operate things and fool people. That's all. She was the only one with actual powers, literally. That's why she could read the grimoire. That's why whenever she, cast a spell that she had no idea what she was doing, and all of a sudden, that first spell gave everything what it did, she's like, she was the only one concerned about the dang guys. She was the only one concerned.
Gave the monkeys wings.
And she was the only one concerned that they were in pain.
This sounds like an interesting movie, man.
That's something that also I do like. It's
it
just
sounds
like
it
Congress
also is what it sounds like.
It sets up. Yeah, a little bit. I do like the idea that this sets up different things from the Wizard of Oz. Elphaba, or the Wicked Witch, is the one that gave the monkeys the flying wings. She's also the one that essentially helps the Cowardly Lion in a weird way as a cub. Because I actually had to check that when I came back from the theaters. Was that the Cowardly Lion? And sure enough, it was as a cub.
She taught him how to speak. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, no.
Someone tell me more about this goat.
So, okay, the goat is a professor.
He basically gets to go back to where you come from, written in blood or some liquid on his chalkboard.
It's a plot. It's a plot B. It's plot B of the film.
Let me tell you guys something. And I was talking to Nick about this earlier. I don't know where he went. I think he probably went to the bathroom. But
no, I'm back. Sorry.
So we had an argument earlier because he's old, and
y'all hear this?
Everyone knows what this symbol is. Like that's when you do like rock and roll, man. Yeah. But the original, like where this originated, is not rock and roll. It originated as the symbol for the goat in the Church of Satan.
The Baphomet.
Yeah. And so, like, you said goat earlier, and I was like, this is lining up from what I heard. And you just said something was like spelled out in blood by the goat.
No,
no,
to
not
the
by the
goat. It
goat.
was a message
Not by
to
the
the
goat.
goat.
Message to the goat
He-
in blood.
He flips his
Chalkboard
over, and on the other side of the chalkboard is basically go back to where you come from.
There-
It looks like blood, but it's some red liquid or some shit.
There's a whole side plot in this movie where, because it's Oz, there's magical creatures, there's talking animals. Essentially, there's a whole plot of which is revealed by the wizard that they're trying to get rid of all the talking animals out of, like, they don't want kids to be educated by talking animals. Essentially,
not only that, but hey, we've got to have an enemy, literal verbatim in the movie. So the goat wasn't trying to be like, you need to, it wasn't anything evil. It was actually, if I'm not mistaken, teaching English.
Yeah.
It was just,
if you're wondering,
like predicates, vowels.
If you're wondering, it wasn't the goat from Drag Me to Hell. It wasn't that.
No,
or even the witch.
All the symbolism that's going on here.
Well, they even have the animals that all work at the school all have a meeting, and Elphaba overhears the secret meeting, and they trust her, so she becomes a trusted companion to the speaking animals.
Yeah.
Which the meeting is basically that
the outsiders
there has been a plot against them so that they lose their voices essentially and go back to being a regular animal of whatever it is.
The wizard basically states later on at the end of the movie that he wants to put animals in cages where they belong, because where he comes from, they're in cages, and it's harmonic. It's harmonic whenever
I'm hearing nothing but an agenda being pushed in this movie, and it's a left-wing agenda. If I've never heard it before, like, that's exactly what it sounds like. They like, if you can take the veil and pull it down, it sounds like it's just the left-wing Congress people that are trying to push. That's all it sounds like. I'm just saying. I'm definitely a red pillar. Sorry.
Don't ask me while I have a picture of pills on my
so quickly and readily available.
NyQuil. I'm sorry, because you guys are just explaining it, and I'm like, gosh, why does this sound so familiar? And so, anyway, I'd stop giving my 2 cents on that.
To me,
it helps. It's a good 2 cents. It does. There's a lot of symbolism in this movie.
Yeah.
A lot.
To me, I didn't read into all that. I was very curious of how, as a fan of the original Wizard of Oz, how are they going to stitch this all together? And they do some cool things with it. I thought that they set up things that really pay off, especially if you're familiar with the original film. The movie literally begins with the Wicked Witch's death, and it kind of goes back, and Glinda says, Glinda says essentially she wasn't all bad, and they're like, you were friends with her, and it like back forth.
That's another thing that I have some weird. Okay, I haven't. I don't know anything past part 2, but when they're sitting there saying she's wicked at the beginning, and the Wicked Witch is dead in Munchkin Land, and they had that big ass fucking effigy of her, and they set it on fire. It's Glinda that throws the torch in there, and it's like, I thought you guys were cool and homies and shit like that. What changed? What point in time changed you so much to where you had this burning witch, and you're the first one to cast fire to it? What happened between?
But that's the interesting thing, in my opinion. Like,
she throws the flame. It's
like we know, as anyone who's ever seen The Wizard of Oz, we know she's going to become bad. But how did we get to that point?
Right.
And that to me is like the fun journey of it.
Kind of like Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, part 2 will explain a lot more, of course, because when it said part 1, I was like, holy shit, what? Hold up, what?
It's another 3 hours after this shit?
You know what's so
honestly
funny? This movie is as long as the original Broadway show. That's not even an exaggeration. Wow. Like, you can go see
part 1 and part 2, or just part 1?
Part 1 is
we get the entire story of the Broadway play and the length of this time of this movie.
Yes, wow. Part 1 of this film is the same length as the Broadway show.
So basically, 3 hours. Part 1 of this film is twice as long as the first half of the actual play. Basically.
Yeah,
I'd say 230, 234, 235 worth of actual like film probably, but it's what 240 with
it's like
15 seconds or something.
Wow. Okay.
Where do you guys think the Wicked Witch of the East comes from? Because it's not the girl in the wheelchair, right?
Supposedly it is because in the original. Well, hold on, Zach. Supposedly it is because if you remember, the original slippers were silver, not ruby, and the only reason it was switched to ruby was because of better pop with the color on screen.
That's true.
You know, and who had the silver slippers on?
So they're going to villainize a girl in a wheelchair because
supposedly they think that. I've heard theories that the shoes have powers, and that the powers that they gave Dorothy were to be able to return home. That the power that they will give the
sister
Vanessa
Rose, yeah.
I think is the power to be able to walk. You
know,
and that's why in the original Wizard of Oz, when this is only my theory so far. I haven't.
And it would be a good one too.
The legs roll up.
That's true. Yeah.
So,
that's very.
I thought maybe the house fell on her because she didn't wheel out fast enough.
You always got to bring the house down, don't you? But I mean, we'll
I don't
see
laugh
part
at that
what
sort of material.
I honestly wouldn't mind a modern retelling of the Wizard of Oz. Doesn't musical or anything like that. Just give us the Wizard of Oz and update it a little bit.
We don't need that. Nobody needs that.
Well, that's all they know how to do now is do remakes. So like they have no new ideas.
They've remade. You know how many times they've remade the Wizard of Oz since Frank Baum wrote it. So there's like he directed like 30 different versions of it himself before they even made the.
There's a lot of silent era Wizard of Oz interpretations of the interpretation.
And then you've got the Return to Oz.
Yeah, I was just going to ask.
A full-on acid trip, practical. Never done it. Don't get me wrong, but like if I can imagine it, that's what I'd imagine. Like a flying couch with a moose head. Just what?
I was gonna ask you guys, and I mean, I know nobody's read the novels yet, but do you think that these movies will eventually turn into like, because in the Wicked series there's 4 books.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if you think these movies will turn into those, or you think it's just going to be Wicked Part 1 and Part 2.
I think it's just going to be. I think it's going to. Well, speaking of, we got Dune Part 1 and Part 2, and they're also going to do Dune Messiah next. So it's possible. Because these movies, this is such a hugely successful film, and I'm sure
boring.
Nick, we're gonna fight.
Get him, Zach.
The 85 Dune was pretty boring. I mean,
are you talking about the new one or the David Lynch version?
The new ones. I had a hard time watching.
They're only boring if you're not interested in intelligent sci-fi cinema.
I guess I'm dumb. You're smarter than me, Nick, because you use words that no one else uses, and I'm telling you that before. So
they know it. Okay.
But to answer your question, Johnny, I think with Combined, I think this could be like $1 billion Part 1 and Part 2 franchise. So it's possible that they could do the other ones.
It's already $1 billion franchise already.
Well, the play itself is like a $2 billion. It's made like $2 billion in ticket sales. It's huge.
Wow.
So the book got published in 2002. I didn't realize it took this long to make a movie.
Yeah.
You know what? This is what I heard. The reason why they did it was because they're like, when the play stops making money on Broadway is when they make the movie.
Well, what does that tell you?
I don't know about that because
it's a money machine.
I don't know about that because like when it comes here to Oklahoma, it sells out like quick. So I don't.
What doesn't sell out? What doesn't sell out when it comes to Oklahoma though?
Are y'all all in Oklahoma?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All in the same area, like Norman, Oklahoma City. What?
OKC areas.
OKC. Yeah.
Okay. I used to live
slightly
in OKC,
different sides of town, but
Yeah. My mom lives in Norman. I used to live in OKC. I used to live in Moore as well.
Okay. So, there you go. So you know the area.
I'm a Sooner at heart, baby, and I've converted Nick to be a Sooner. So get out, get out.
All right.
Break off the Wicked. So anyway.
I'll always be a Texas fan, a UT fan, but I have a new appreciation for the Sooners of up north.
Up north.
Yeah, you know why Texas is Texas and Oklahoma is Oklahoma, right? Because we were just the faster Sooners, man.
Whatever.
We made it down here quicker.
Get out. Anyway, Um,
No,
go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I was just going to bring up one of the biggest positives of the movie is Cynthia Erivo as
Elphaba.
Elphaba is extremely. If you want to watch it for anything, I would say her first, Jeff Goldblum second, and then the music, the colors, the set design. They completely created a massive set design. They created their own river just for this movie.
Wow.
I think it'll win.
The look of the film is beautiful. It is a very beautiful looking film. The execution, there's execution in with some of the stuff.
Well, and to me, I thought, kind of going off what you said, Johnny, the thing that really sold me on this was Cynthia Erivo, and when she does Defying Gravity, when she hits that high note, that to me is like I literally, like, when the movie was over, I literally gasped like, "Wow!"
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if there's nothing like edited on that other than maybe just the music,
the visuals,
she can go with Ariana pretty easily. She can go.
I think we're the only two that have seen Wicked and The Substance. If you had to pick Cynthia Erivo or Demi Moore, who would you pick?
Probably Cynthia. Because Demi doesn't do shit in that movie. I'm sorry.
He's a little sore about it.
She does. She just stares in at a mirror most of the time, and she does like fitness a little. She does a little bit of fitness and then lays on the bathroom floor with her back cut open.
I hate to tell you, Jay. I think Demi's got it in the bag for the Oscars. So when that comes up, if you're really pissed off by that, it'll let me know what your feelings are. Like I said, I went into this just wanting to see how are they going to interpret a Broadway show onto film. How are they going to connect it to the Wizard of Oz? There are tons of references throughout this thing. I mean, by the damn, like in the first 30 seconds of the film, you see the actual characters walking back to the Emerald City from killing the Wicked Witch. I mean, that's literally a scene.
And not only that, but they even get to pick the color of the yellow brick road.
Yep, that's a thing too.
That's what that was. Yeah, that was a pretty cool little feature. He has that little LED light. He's like, "Here, play with it. Tell me what color brick road. I can't figure out which yellow color I want to go on." And they just play this button.
It's Elphaba who decides it to be yellow. So
So if for anybody who's just familiar with Wizard of Oz, would I know who Elphaba is? Is she
the Wicked Witch?
She's the Wicked Witch.
Oh, she is the Wicked Witch.
The one with the flying
the one
monkeys.
that Dorothy throws the water on.
Wicked Witch of the West, right?
Yes.
She's of the West. Okay.
Which is the main character.
My little pretty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Main villain.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
But do they reference that to her in the Wizard of Oz?
Reference
the name?
I've never heard. I've never.
They don't call her Elphaba. No.
The Elphaba name comes from the book. The novel from.
I was about to say I heard it after I will.
That's its own creation for the Wicked series.
Yeah,
that's not Frank L. Baum's creation. He just called her the witch.
Got it.
The author of the book was just like, "Hey, what if we go back and let's tell the Wizard of Oz through the Wicked Witch's perspective, and let's go back to the beginning." Essentially, that's how it came up.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And I guess Ariana Grande plays Glinda, right?
Mm-hmm. Good Linda.
What is it?
Linda.
Good Linda.
All right.
Linda.
Okay.
Zach, do you have a favorite scene?
The Defying Gravity scene at the end, I thought was really well done. I understand why that's the most popular song on the soundtrack. The popular song I thought was good. It was, to me, with the exception of the whole let's ban animals from teaching kids thing, I really thought the rivalry between Glinda and Elphaba, it's like slowly progression to what it becomes, I thought was well done. So,
not to mention they also had the same crush on the same guy.
Yeah, Jonathan Bailey. Yeah.
I was hoping for a nice Channing Tatum would play that guy, but I guess he can't sing.
I like me some Tatum, man. I think he's still rocking it. Sorry, he's still rocking it.
I've never liked Channing Tatum.
Oh, he's good.
I don't like him.
He's good.
I would probably pick the. I like the sentimental scene where they first get introduced to the wizard and Jeff Goldblum has his song. I think that's a very interesting song. And Act 3 just picks up, like you guys said earlier, picks up right off the bat, and the last 45 minutes of the movie just flies by. I would also pick a favorite scene would probably be the beginning. Just the very, very beginning feels like it's a. Hold on, I can't.
Sorry, Johnny's dying. Hold on.
He's dying. Johnny's dying.
The first I caught his ass.
The first 5 seconds, literally, the movie just feels like an. It feels like you're getting ready to watch something that it's just going to be memorable. And then I do like the popular song, and the Defying Gravity. Ed?
If I had to pick a scene, I'd go ahead and go with the very end. Whenever they are getting chased, I thought that was pretty cool. Just because of the whole transition from very confused and all that to deciding like this is where I've got to go because now I'm marked, as a fugitive. I'm literally marked by them. So okay. You want me to be this? I guess I'll play the role, but she ends up not necessarily being evil, just going on her own. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sorry, but that would have been the shit to ride that broom because that broom looked like it was just dusting off that. It looked like it was going 160 miles an hour, just going, man. So that was a pretty cool little tidbit right there too. So. That chunk would be my favorite from the time she basically starts to go and get chased to the very end when she's riding off into literally the sunset. That was pretty cool. Song, there were way too many. I think they could have cut like 4 songs out and been just fine.
Yeah, but then you would have pissed off the Broadway fans then if you had done that.
Man, okay, but like 4 songs would have done good,
I know.
Like,
hey, we had to sit through the Joker this year as well as a musical. So,
hey,
I think we're all musical down.
Defying Gravity, I guess, would be the song I'd choose. That one to me was kind of the coolest, as well as kind of most explaining. The popular was all right, but it just was made for radio play. Like that's all it really was, in my opinion. So yeah.
Jay?
I like the scene wise as far. I like the ending from the time we get to Oz onward. There's something about that third act shift that just makes the movie come together a little bit more. It's not agenda driven very much anymore. It's now here's the actual plot. We got everything out of the way. Here's where shit gets interesting, and that's where I found the movie far more interesting than I did while they were becoming friends.
All right, let's give it a star rating. If you guys are listening or watching us for the first time, a 1 being an absolutely Wrath of Khan, a 5 being Star Trek from 2009. So
see how we tied that back in.
I do.
Like poetry.
It rhymes. Yeah.
So
1 is the best, and
I knew you're gonna say that, and that is untrue.
So, if I watched this movie just once and I was like, you know what, it just wasn't for me, I probably would have gave it a 2. But after today's viewing and just understanding and enjoying it for what it was, it'll be available on Peacock in a few weeks. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. So,
do y'all do half ratings? Like,
yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
If you think it hasn't necessarily earned that full on, then or if you can't choose between a 2 and a 3, you're just like,
gotta go halfway.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We don't go all like.
It also probably depends on what pill you take.
Again, why do you have that picture ready to go? Is my question.
¿Qué no las dos?
I know, man. That was queued up.
¿Qué no las dos? Take them both.
It depends on who sponsors us that week.
That's true.
I'd give the movie a 3.5 just because of how it had its points. It did seem overtly long at periods of times. I did catch myself. I'm a smoker, so I smoked like 2 cigarettes during this movie. So I had to pause the movie, which is a good thing for me. And I got up, went outside, assessed everything. And that's why I ran across you, and I was like, "What the hell am I watching?" He's like, "You were like," because we both watched it around the same time, and you were like, "I don't know what the hell I'm watching here, bro." And it's like, because that was your very first viewing, and it's just like, okay.
So you give it 2 cigarettes out of 4.
No,
I'll give
it a 3.5. But no, it took some time to get through this one though.
You had to marinate.
Yeah,
had to marinate. I like it.
It probably took me about 3.5 hours to get to the entire movie, just because of the breaks, getting up, sitting there processing it. Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 4 as well. I really like this. The only reason I'm really giving it a 4 is because we still have another half of it to go, and that could really sway.
It's not
if
resolved.
It's going to be
Yeah.
Like I said, Cynthia Erivo is arguably the best performance of the movie. Ariana Grande she did good as the preppy girl, Glinda. In my opinion, like you said, Jeff Goldblum did excellent. Michelle Yeoh, which we didn't even talk about, I thought she was really good as kind of like the secret villain of the show.
Little double agent.
She's really wicked.
Yeah, there you go. And we also get, for Broadway nerds like myself, we got like a surprise cameo with Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth from the original show.
Actually, that was a really good little.
That was a cool
because
throwback.
me sitting there knowing about them because of my daughter and ex-wife liking the plays and everything. I was like, oh, I know who they are. And I'm like, I sounded all weird and shit. Like, oh, I know them.
And the Wizard of Oz references. I thought like I said, they did a very good job of like starting to piece the puzzle together of who this character is and how we get to know her as the Wicked Witch. So as of right now, 4 out of 5 for me. So
got it.
It was nominated for 10 Oscars, so we'll see how many it walks away with.
It walk away with nothing. You watch.
As far as like the look and everything goes, I give to the
technical awards.
It deserves those.
Production design, obviously the music, the score. I could see it walk away with some of that stuff.
You guys want to hear a red pill take?
Go ahead.
So the red pill take is Juan just said, "Hey, nominated for 10 Oscars." Well, guess who controls the 10 Oscars? Hollywood. Guess who made the movie? Hollywood. I mean, it's probably going to come home with everything, so they can say it won 10 Oscars.
Yeah.
Just saying.
If that's really, yeah.
I just got one name for you, Emilia Perez.
Yeah,
Emilia Perez.
Yeah.
Okay.
13 Oscars, and I'm sure she's going to take a lot of them home with her. Or
it's not a transgender person.
I don't mean it as in trans. I mean it as in the movie. It's probably going to take a whole bunch of them home.
What about you, Ed?
I'll go ahead and give it a 3. If it cut the songs in about half, I think it would have cut probably 25, 30 minutes off. Ariana Grande did well, but it's kind of surprising how much of an asshole she was in the beginning, like hour and a half, hour 40, somewhere in there. Different stuff like that, like the connections to the original, Wizard of Oz movie, at least I liked, and seeing the transitions go from where she got painted to what she was going to be. Additionally, with like in this, her and the Flying Monkeys are not getting along at all. So I'm curious on how they're going to go ahead and get that out of the way and into what the movie eventually will become. So there's that. So yeah, I'm going to give a 3 for those. Like I said, the songs probably, if they cut out at least, I'd say 3 or 4 songs, I probably would give it a 4. It just dragged. It dragged.
Wow.
Like I said, 3 different times, and the first 2 times felt like 3 hours.
Interesting.
So
I'm surprised you gave it a 3. I thought you would lean more towards like a 2, 2.5.
Yeah.
The last, like I said, the last like 35 to 40 minutes, save it. That's what kind of pushed me up. because that whole storytelling, the way the scenes go, and then I get they're wanting to paint her as the good guy, the good, all that. I get it. I get the way they're painting the characters and all that, but at the same time, it's just the transition and how to me is important. So it's kind of one of those things to where, I mean, yeah, maybe it's a con or whatever have you. We'll see what they do with part 2, but at the same time, like that's what pushed me up into a 3. So.
I got a question for you, if you don't mind. So would you say it's kind of like the Phantom Menace, where it started out great, bunch of boring stuff, and then it ended great?
I would say yes and no on that.
Craig's not here to defend that. So
well, okay. So I mean, don't wrong. Like I really liked the Phantom Menace the whole way through, but that could be, I'm
a fan. It ended right, so I'm a fan. Like if it ends right, then it kind of redeems the entire movie if it was boring. You know what I mean? So
and that's the thing, because don't get me wrong. Like I know these two on the corners for sure have a lot of hate whenever I bring up No Country for Old Men. Wonderful film, and then to me, it shits itself at the end.
There you go.
Just shits itself at
kind
the end.
of like what's the
see he's gone. Wonderful film, but and I've caught flack for a while for that.
I should have done that, Johnny. That was that was perfect. I should have done that.
But yeah, and I mean, like I said, with the Phantom Menace, it could be a lot of nostalgia for when I was 9, 10 years old when that film came out.
9 or 10 years old. Wow.
I was born in 91, so
yeah, I'm a solid 9 years older than you. Yeah, and so I was like junior and maybe a sophomore in high school when that movie came out. So,
but it was one of those things to where like going to see it in the theater when I was real little, I don't remember it. But I know I did because I've got another cousin on a different side of the family that had a notebook of her life with Obi-Wan Kenobi and stuff like that.
Great. That's awesome.
She probably doesn't even understand that I remember that.
Hey, as long as he didn't force choke her.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Obi-Wan wasn't that type of guy. She would have had to go with Anakin for that. But then he might take it too far like he did. So
preach.
But yeah, but yeah, I can go ahead and understand that cross of each other, that parallel. Yeah, like I said, the last 35 to 40 minutes saved it for me. So
okay,
little preview for next week's episode. Let's talk and go through our top 5 worst of 2024. All right, guys, we can save the fighting and the hate for after we talk our top 5, because there might be
this is the worst one. I guarantee you one's going to piss Zach off on my list.
That ought to be fun.
Zach is going to sit there and think, "Oh no, this is one of the best movies of the fucking year," and I'm going to be like, "Nope, suck."
I'm gonna rapid fire go through mine real quick.
I didn't give you my take on Wicked. Do you mind if I give you my take on Wicked?
Oh yeah. I didn't know if
it comes with a performance. Yeah, it comes with a performance. I hope y'all don't mind. I didn't watch it, but I'm very interested in it now. I'm far more interested in it now than I was 2 hours ago before I sat down with this for this podcast. But here's the interesting thing. There's a Broadway nerd here, right? You might appreciate.
Nick's done stage acting.
Yeah, I've done a lot of stage acting. I was in a performance of Into the Woods, which, if you're familiar with Into the Woods, it's kind of a mishmash of all the characters. And I had the honor of playing the witch in Into the Woods, and she had a song when she found the baker and the baker's wife raiding her garden. She had a song that went like this.
Oh, here we go.
Greens, and nothing but greens, parsley, peppers, cabbages, and celery, asparagus, and watercress, and fiddlefreds, and lettuce. He said, all right, But it wasn't quite. Because I caught him in the autumn in my garden one night. He was robbing me, rating me, rooting to the rutabaga, rating my arugula, and ripping up the rampion, my champion, my favorite. And that's all I remember. But I have a connection. I have a connection with Wicked.
How long did that take to kind of get that down? Because I know it wasn't just one take. Like that rooting the rutabaga, that was a little tricky right there.
Yeah, rooting to the rutabaga, rating my arugula, and ripping up the rampion, my champion. Nick will know because Nick's a fellow actor. I am a big study in memorizing my lines, Nick, and so I will memorize them. I mean, to the period and to the comma and to the exclamation point. And I just end up going over them, like when I'm driving in the car or taking a shower or whatever. Yeah. So how long it took me, I couldn't really answer. I can say I spent a lot of time, just memorizing and because I don't want to look like an idiot when I get in front of a live audience.
What he doesn't realize is it's going to happen anyway, and he just can't have anything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, I've been on stage and forgotten lines and dropped lines, and those, long, awkward pauses you have to figure out a way to use while you go, oh, what was the line? What was the line?
All right. So back to what we were doing. Sorry.
No, you're good. 2 honorary mentions, and then I'm just going to go through my 5. Imaginary, the horror movie about the teddy bear. And then it might come to some shock, but an A24 movie made this list, and it's I Saw the TV Glow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
A little dull, a little boring, just not for me. But number 5, the Mean Girls musical from this year.
They made that into a musical?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah.
Not good at all.
Wow. It done actually pretty well though financially though.
Yeah. It was eye candy.
Oh, okay.
That's about the best.
Yeah.
Well, it made money. It really did. It made like a couple, like a little over $100 million, 150.
Is that all?
Yeah.
But that's probably because everybody thought it was going to be, another.
But it was, no, it was produced for very cheap. It was one of them like $10, $12 million movies. They were like, here, just what the fuck ever. And
got it.
Number 4, Lisa Frankenstein.
I seen the trailer to that and I thought, what a piece of shit.
Number 3.
What? Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I was about to ask, what made you decide that? Like, was it a specific line, actions, a sequence of little tidbits here and there? Like, what made you decide? Yeah, nope.
I think it was just the overall
pod out.
So it was the overall deliverance of the movie, how it was supposed to be like a romantic comedy, but more of a comedy for somebody to fall in love with a dead person, kind of like Warm Bodies. And I was like, first off, I also went in knowing it was directed by Robin Williams' daughter.
Yeah.
And it was just like not feeling it for me. And the main actress was good, don't get me wrong, but it was not Dylan O'Brien, but one of the kids who played the twins in Big Daddy was in it.
Dylan, was it Cole Sprouse or Dylan Sprouse?
One of Cole. Yeah.
Cole.
Yeah.
One of them.
But I mean, it's available on Peacock if you guys want to check it out. But it was just an hour and 40-minute movie filmed like 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Dang.
It's supposed to be a coming of age teenager horror movie / I'm gonna fall in love with a dead guy. So if you guys enjoyed Warm Bodies, you might like that movie.
I thought Warm Bodies was actually pretty good.
It was unique. I didn't dislike it for sure.
It was basically Romeo and Juliet with zombies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think we've ever seen a zombie movie where they actually can reverse the zombiness. So that was in itself was the uniqueness to me. I'm like,
an interesting part.
Finding a piece of humanity still left inside of a person.
Exactly.
What
Saves
them.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is going to be Tarot. Or Tarot.
I was like, what?
No.
Tarot?
Like tarot, like the tarot cards. Yeah.
Got it.
He gets to watch it. He's a part of a horror movie club that watches some very shitty movies, and he's going to have some on his list that you're just going to be like, what the hell? Like A couple weeks ago, he watched the Mean One. It's basically a horror movie of the Grinch.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Hey, Edward actually recommended this one to me.
Which one?
Tarot.
Oh, yeah.
It's an hour and 30. It's an hour and 32 minutes. It's an hour and 31 minutes too long. that's how rough it is.
So you're saying there's a percentage of what you liked?
The credits.
I was about to say. Man, I see what It Follows. Me and you are reverse on those two, dude. I can't do It Follows, and you can't do it. Tarot.
Number 2 is Borderlands. Came out earlier this year with Jamie Lee Curtis. So much potential. The cast was fun. It felt like a fun atmosphere, but man, the deliverance was fall on your face flat. It was
okay.
That's on my to watch list just to see how bad it is.
No, you don't. You don't need. Don't waste your time with that.
I have to.
Have you played the game at all?
Yeah, a little bit here and there.
Fair enough.
Number 1 is now this is not the worst movie of the year. It doesn't get that.
And he dies on us again.
Is that a sneeze?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I ran out of moisture, so my throat is just dying right now.
Oh, I got you.
But number 1, which is not the worst, but could be the worst, The Crow.
Oh, that was bad.
It was bad.
Oh, come on.
It was god awful, man.
Dang, I had high hopes for that one.
No high hopes. The only thing good about that movie is there's about a 10 or 15 minute scene where he puts his makeup on and he's getting ready to just chop everybody's head off for about 5-10 minutes. Probably the best part of the movie.
Even
but other than that, the action, the score, the setup, the performances.
The action is fucking boring. They turn the sword fight in the movie is just downright terrible.
Wow.
Bill Skarsgård is probably the
bad.
best. Yeah.
Dang,
So
that's disappointing.
Zach, top 5?
My top 5, my honorable mention is going to be this movie called Drive Away Dolls. I don't know if you guys saw this. It was directed by one of the Coen brothers. It came out like early last year. Not great. Just don't waste your time with that. Number 5, Night Swim. I had the luxury of seeing that in the theater, and bad. Number 4 is Tarot, because I kind of took off.
Up here.
I took Johnny's word with this. Like, dude, you got to see this. It's like I kind of had hopes for it because it was a kind of a cool concept, but it just was executed horribly. I don't think they did. I don't think they knew whether it to be like a really like Conjuring type movie or like a slasher like PG-13 film, which ultimately that's what it is. Number 3 is Borderlands. I agree with you, Johnny. I think it had potential, but one of the worst video game movies. Number 2, Jay, this is going to piss you off, but hey, I got to be honest. Number 2 is Argyle. Hated it. I thought it was so bad.
I thought it was a pretty decent little movie. I'm not upset that I hated it. You hated it.
Why is that movie 2.5 hours long? There is no need for that.
I'll agree with you on the length, but the movie I thought was pretty decent. It was just one of those turn off your brain, just go with it action movies.
Bryce Dallas Howard skating on oil. It just terrible, bad. And number 1, I don't think any of you guys saw this, so I won't spend too much time with it. Number 1 is Megalopolis, Francis Ford Coppola's new film. It is. I couldn't even believe what I was watching. Like I saw this in IMAX, and there was like Ed, you know how there's like a couple rows, like it's like a 600 seater. There was like 5 rows down from where the next person was. I literally just like put the arm seats up and I just lay down in the chairs. That's how bad this movie was. Terrible performances. I think there's some interesting concept of like a new America as a new Rome. That's like an interesting concept to explore. But I couldn't even believe the guy that directed The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2 and Apocalypse Now. This is So that's my. It's not the worst movie, but that would be number 2 and the worst of the year. So.
Yeah, I'm surprised to hear that. Francis Ford Coppola is a classic. He
is a classic, but I don't know what happened with him. He may have been sleeping on the job or something. I don't know. So,
yeah.
our boy is dying again. So
Jay, what about you?
All right. Like I said, my list is not as deep as their list is. I didn't see very many movies this year, so I could watch a trailer and I'm a pretty good gauge on if I like the movie or not, just based on a trailer. So I don't waste my time actually pursuing these movies out. But my honorable mention is the new Godzilla X Kong New Empire movie. Yeah, it was whatever.
What?
It was just whatever.
Oh.
Even the it just felt like a bland, just CGI action movie that had no.
Those are the best type, right?
There was no. They didn't feel like any depth there. Like King Kong had no depth. Godzilla had no depth. It was just whatever. See, then the new Joker movie. I thought that movie was pretty bad. I sat there and I was checking. I did a lot of time checking because I said I didn't pay to go see this in theater. Think I'm gonna just praise whoever sat there and recorded it in theaters so I could watch a pirated copy because they didn't even get my money. But whoever did it though, I praise them. That was a hellified copy. It was great. It was a beautiful copy, and even that couldn't save me. Like I was just like, what the fuck is this stupidity? I get the whole it's in his mind. He's just become. I get what you're trying to do, but I just don't give a shit.
Are you talking about Joker, like the movie Joker?
Yeah, part 2. Yeah.
Oh, the part 2. I haven't seen the part 2 yet. Okay.
Yeah, the musical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
It's about a 2-hour and 40-minute fucking musical, and it's bad.
All kinds of bad sounds like.
Oh, yeah.
Now the first one was not a musical.
No. The first one was
So they decided
Joker
to
that
make
we all like kind of loved. So
well, I
Well,
guess
they take everything
Yeah.
you liked about the first one and then flipped it and said "fuck you" with it at the same time. No, they really did. They really took everything you liked about the first movie and basically just said you watched the movie wrong.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Good to know.
Yeah. It's kind of
Welcome
like
to
killing off half your cast in Alien 3.
Yeah.
Get over it, Nick.
I'll never get over it, man.
This one I sit there. I'll check it out. I'm a wrestling fan, so I'll check out something if The Rock's in it, no matter how bad it is or not. But this one, I just flat out said the hell with it. Didn't give a shit about it. After about 45 minutes, it's Red One.
Oh, dude, yeah. Come on. I liked that movie. That was a good little take on Santa Claus.
I thought some of it was good, but when did we start? As we started getting into the other mythical characters and how it just started becoming a slapstick comedy, I was like,
yeah, it did. You're right.
I'm done. I tapped out during the Krampus scene. I was like, oh, nope, I'm done.
Oh, that was the funniest scene. That was great.
My number 3, is Trap, the M. Night Shyamalan movie. The movie is so fucking promising until it gets to a certain point in the movie, and then it's just like it falls apart. It just like, and then like the setup as well. Like, how could the mother knowingly send their daughter away with her husband, knowing that what he is, so he can be arrested? And there's too much. Do you understand what I'm saying there, Johnny? You've seen it. Me and you talked about this movie where Trapped.
Oh yeah. See, I like the concept. I thought Trap was pretty cool.
I enjoyed it, like I said, all the way up until a certain point in the concert whenever it becomes the point where he gets the little girl on stage. It becomes too far fetched, and then the lead singer gets involved, and it's a whole convoluted mess in order to arrest a serial killer. And I thought it was very convoluted. This one might piss off. This is my number 1 I'll have my shittiest one of the year next week, but this one is my second shittiest one of the year, and it's Long Legs.
Long Legs.
Yeah. The Nicolas Cage serial killer movie I thought was just downright terrible. I'm dead serious. I can't get over Nicolas Cage's acting in that movie. The prosthetics, the way he looks, the tone, his acting is just god awful to me.
Wow, dang, that's disappointing.
Zach loved the hell out of this movie, though, so that's why.
No, well, I thought you were gonna pull like something out of left field. You're just like, what? But no, since you talked about it, I was like, no, that's fair. No, that's fair. So,
but none of the movie to me, so it was. Seeing Nicolas Cage's acting in that movie, people were praising it, and all I kept seeing was him playing Ghost Rider transforming. I was like, no.
Gosh, it's still true.
All right, Nick and Nick, do you guys have one that you guys want to mention? Or
yeah, I'll mention one. Leave the World Behind.
Before you guys go, I'm gonna hop out of here because I got to get to work early in the morning. So, Nick, it was nice talking to you guys.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, man.
Come back on the show again.
Absolutely, we'd love to.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely.
See you guys later.
Take it easy,
Zach.
Bye.
So yeah, Leave the World Behind. I think that was in 2023, but I still can't stop thinking about how bad it was. Just because of, I remember watching it. I was actually dating my ex-wife, and we watched it in her apartment, and we both got done like, what did we just watch? Like that had like no plot, it had no story. It's like the government at that time was trying to prepare us for what they were planning.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. There's too much feeding into it.
Yeah. It was terrible, just absolutely terrible. So that was, as you guys were telling your story, that's the one movie that kept coming to my mind, because if a movie's boring to me, I'll shut it off. I won't even watch it. Like if they don't catch my eye in like the first 20 minutes, I'm done. Let's watch it.
Man.
Yeah, I'm very critical. It's really, really bad. But I hope that I pull that into my filmmaking too, like, because I want you to like be captured in the first 20 minutes. Because if you're not, you're probably gonna do what people like me do, turn it off. So yeah.
Believe it or not, I agree with Nick on this. You've already wasted your money. Why waste your time? You know, if you don't like the movie, don't watch it. Yeah, I'm afraid that any of my picks are going to be outdated by this point, but I haven't been to the movies in several months, which is really, really horrible. But the last movie I did go see, I really, really liked, and that was Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. I got a lot out of it and enjoyed the ride. I'm a huge Mission Impossible fan. I'm a huge Tom Cruise fan, so I love the movie, and I'm looking very forward to the sequel coming out. I think Final Reckoning.
Yeah,
this year
it's coming. Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, I mean, but
I'm waiting on that one myself.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome, man. I can't wait. I'm really disappointed that it technically bombed. I mean, it made almost $500 million, but for that movie, it's kind of a bomb, and that really I hated seeing that because I wanted it to be successful.
So that was one of the movies that you did not like last year?
No, that was one of the movies I did like. I did. Okay. We're talking about movies we didn't like.
Yeah.
Wow. Nick, we're sitting here talking about movies that we didn't like. And
yeah, no.
Hey, man. Like, and you had to come out here and say something you did like. Wow.
Jabber, jabber, jabber.
Man, he's got.
You know what?
Hey.
Yeah. So I wasn't a big fan of Indiana Jones. I wanted more out of it. I didn't like it nearly as much as the other ones, and the fourth one wasn't that great, but I have a new appreciation for it after the last one. And as much as I'm looking forward to Avatar 3 this year, Avatar 2, until I saw it a second and a third time, I didn't like it. I thought they missed the point completely, and I was very disappointed. I was like, damn it, I drank all this beer for nothing.
Yeah.
Kidding me? 3-hour-long movie.
Very, very good bring up for Dial of Destiny, Indiana Jones. That's a movie that was overrated, and it did not need to be almost 3 hours long. So I completely agree with you. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good bring up.
Yeah.
All right, Edward, finish us off.
So I'm going to start off with Madame Web.
Yeah, good call.
Not really a good hit for Marvel. This is a rare strikeout for Marvel. I guess I'd say the Eternals, Madame Web.
That's Sony Marvel. So
you know, it was mainly oh my gosh, I'm forgetting her name right now. Main character who played God.
In Madame Web,
Dakota
Johnson. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't find it to be that bad, honestly. It could have been a lot worse.
I found that
I grew up during the 90s when comic book movies were shit, and I still didn't find
They were.
Don't get me wrong, I liked Morbius. Okay, like I don't think it's the best, but I liked it.
No, I'm with you on that.
So there's that. Number 4, I'm gonna go ahead and go with Zach and say Night Swim. If you've ever seen Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, there's an episode on that has this similar, very, very similar type of creature. And it comes from a pool, and it's a thing of red goop, and it looks like Davy Jones from the Pirates of the Caribbean, his crackhead cousin or something like that. It just was like y'all took the episode of Don't Be Afraid of the Dark and turned it into a movie. Number 3, probably one of the more gross films I've seen this past year was Platform 2. Platform was interesting. It was a weird concept, but it wasn't a bad movie. It was just a very odd concept in a prison, basically, and a thing of food, a platform of food goes down hundreds of floors, and most of the time, the first 40 floors are the only ones who get food, and the rest get to pick off the scraps, bones, and whatever. Sucks.
Wow.
Number 2, I would go ahead and just, what was that? Winnie the Pooh 2. That was Winnie the Pooh, the what? Blood and Honey.
Yeah.
I understood the concept was new. The concept was kind of cool. It was like, okay, this would be, what if it happened, that way instead of how Christopher Robin had it throughout the cartoon. 2 was just god awful. It was horrible. It don't. And honestly, what was the number 1? I hate to say it because I really, 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 really am digging this actor. Not only that, but I was so freaking hopeful for this movie, and he has done wonderful with another one that came out this past year. Probably my favorite of the year, but we'll have that for another episode. The Crow. Bill Skarsgård is one of my guys right now. Ever since it, Pennywise, his portrayal of that.
Did
He's
you watch
my guy.
The Crow?
Yeah, I did, and I mean, there was good things about it, but it just missed the whole.
There was nothing good about it. You're lying.
I'm trying to be. Jay, you don't understand, man. I wanted this film to
I wanted it to succeed so bad myself. But I seen the original Crow in theaters opening weekend as a kid. I was 12 years old when that movie crept into theaters, so I was like that. I grew up on that movie, and seeing this one made me want to fucking just find whoever made this one and crush their.
Because man, I mean, don't get me wrong, Brandon Lee, the whole thing of it, his whole look, demeanor, attitude, presence, was amazing, and Bill Skarsgård was all right, but it to me, it was the script, it was the direction, it just did not paint him in a good light. So that's why I'm just like, there's got to be something different, because for him to go from that to Nosferatu,
have you seen
and bomb Nosferatu out of the park?
Did you see Boy Kills World this year?
I have not. I didn't
that's
even.
One you need to see. That one right there. If they could have turned some of that into The Crow, that would have been okay. That would have been pretty badass, because the action of that was not boring or repetitive and stupid.
I didn't hear of that until even 3 weeks ago.
But it's called Boy Kills World, and it's got Bill Skarsgård, and it's very good.
Oh, very good. Okay. But yeah,
Johnny, what do you think of it?
I thought Boy Kills World was pretty good. It's not bad. It's different. It's not great.
It's about an hour and a half, right? It's about an hour and a half.
If you guys like funny slapstick kung fu movies, then you'll like Boy Kills World.
So okay. But I mean, yeah, I was so looking forward to The Crow, man, and it just disappointed. It really did. Because the original, the music is what set it off for me. So Yeah.
Wow.
Next week, we're going to have a bigger list. We're going to have our completely worst movie of the year, and we're going to have our top 10 best movies of 2024. Nick, before we head out, is there anything you guys want to add to it before we head out?
No, man, just thanks for having us. This was fun. Yeah. I any chance I get to sit in with the other cinephiles or Cine-Men and talk film, man. I always enjoy it. It's a great creative conversation, so this is fun.
You go by Juan or John? They've been calling you different names.
Yeah, they call me whatever, man, honestly. So you can call me Juan, it's fine.
Okay. I'll call you whatever you want me to call you. I've been connected to Juan for a while. I've been on this podcast a couple times promoting other things, and I really appreciate you guys letting us be able to come on board and promote something new. I really do like if you guys are praying, people pray for us when it comes to 426, the movie, because we're this close to it being done for the first draft. And as soon as we can get that first draft over to distribution, we can get our distribution deal pinned and signed in contract. So look out for that. Now, if you want to check out 426, you can on YouTube, just search 426 trailer and it'll pop right up. It's just a 2-minute teaser trailer of what the movie's going to be looking like and it's about. Man, check it out. You're going to like it. If you like horror flicks, if you like redemption stories, if you like truth, if you like true stories, you're going to love this movie, man. It's my editor/director keeps saying, Nick, we have lightning in a bottle here. And he says, I keep editing it and I'm still not bored with it. So that should tell you something. Like the editor usually gets bored first because he has to watch it over and over and over and over and over again.
Well, the writer gets bored first, but the editor can.
Nick, you don't know what you're talking about, bro. Just because you think you wrote one hit movie, which is 426, you think you know what you're talking about. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Hey, man, my fingers are crossed. I pray it does well. That's all.
Hey,
yeah. Go ahead.
And this spring, keep an eye out, guys. Nick's right. It's coming soon. We'll get some rough drafts together. We'll get a few pilots out there and see how it feels. I'm hoping by an Easter release. I don't know about you guys.
I would love that. Would be a great that'd be a great time for us to be able to release it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So that's what I'm hoping for. I can't wait to get to talk to you guys some more. Yeah, and then next week, don't forget best of the award shows coming up next week. Top 5 plus 5 2024 next week. Don't forget on an all-new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
Hey.
Awesome.